Hello and welcome everyone. This is Blackadder at Blackadder's Place, and well, I welcome you to today's stream. Apparently I welcome you to crash immediately. So looks like the team games are going to be always on the forefront of developers' minds. So they seem to be working excellently. What is it, 6-7 years after release? So congratulations right now to Forgotten Empires and World's Edge on good job done. But nonetheless, well, we're gonna be getting into the game somewhere. It's gonna be working down the line. But well, this is gonna be another tournament that you're gonna be kind of opening here. It's already well running, but like a third week starting here on the channel, and it's going to be, well, a team competition, a World Team League, and we are going to be having at this point practically like a first season. It is supposed to be something like a non-continuous league. It's supposed to be having promotions, demotions, and whatnot. So we'll see how it's gonna be working out on that front. But nonetheless, well, excellent to be having some team competition, and therefore, well, I just gonna fit in today. Gonna be wanting to have a look at the match. As you can see, it's gonna be Nocturna eSports B versus Team Sverige. So plenty of fun players in here. So Spaden in the team, if I'm not mistaken, with the Swedish. And there should be also El Matador, by the way, in Nocturna B. So you know him very well from our streams in Age of Mythology. But nonetheless, just a bit of a quick look around here. We like maps, standard Arabia, play all three. So let us get out and, well, hopefully gonna be getting the actual spawn of the map somewhat soon. GG here so far for the unsuccessful one, unfortunately. But whatever the case, let's see if they maybe manage to right now do it quickly. It seems like it maybe yes. Is that gonna be still the same, or is that the crash? No, that is the real question, right? We are on some spec delay, so might be therefore already started quickly through some rematch or whatnot. Hopefully. Yep, no message into the chat, so seems like it all is gonna be currently fine here. And we're gonna be getting therefore appropriately into the first game. As I mentioned, it's a best of, not best of actually, it's a play all three, so it's kind of standard lately in the community. So 3 games are going to be played around here. And we are gonna be getting some 3v3s, which is kind of fun and refreshing as well. What we used to be doing in RTS League, as well, Age of Empires 2 is very much tilted towards 4v4s in team games. But just like 3v3s are a whole lot more interesting because 4v4s tend to be split into 2v2s kind of, with some kind of cooperation, sure, but nonetheless. And 3v3s are a whole lot more interesting because of the flank dynamic and the pocket dynamic in there. Depends kind of civilizations you pick, how you play it, and no, all kinds of good and fun stuff. As let's maybe therefore introduce the teams here first and foremost, as it seems like it's gonna be top to bottom kind of like top left, bottom right. As you're gonna be having therefore Ganji a bit off the path at this point, away from his teammates. You can see he's gonna be a bit further away from Sleepy Sweet. He's gonna be therefore playing with Shu, right? Yes, it's gonna be Shu, that's the archers, right? Yes, that's the archers. And we are going to be therefore at this point having gold mine in a pretty sweet spot for him. Nice protection by the forest line in there. Gonna be easy walling in here, no problem whatsoever. It's a very good base. You can see even berries at the back. That's an easy base if I ever saw one, to be honest. In the pocket, he's gonna be playing with, as he mentioned, Sleepy Sweet, and he's gonna be playing with Magyars. Quite a powerful pocket civilization. In through pocket, you just want to be having something good with cavalry, of course, as always. And on the flank, something with the archers. Of course, the roles have definitely been kind of like, I don't know, erased a bit. So therefore, they are not entirely as important as they used to be several years ago. Now, practically any civilization can be playing what it wants regarding kind of like archers or horses. But still, some kind of predominant civilization bonuses are going to be playing an important role in here. Good berries for right now, the Scouty civilization here. Otherwise, seems like it's gonna be a decent spawn of Arabia as far as the walls. Oh, left side is gonna be slightly more complicated, okay, but nonetheless, otherwise it doesn't seem too hard. Thinking that kind of like the major protection here is gonna be somewhat easier, maybe even towards the TC after, to make it a bit easier upon him, not sure. No, and on the right flank, we're gonna be playing with Bullet. Well, of course, group of known players we very much prefer to be streaming in any kind of tournaments that we can. And you can see right now Berry's a bit slightly exposed. gonna be definitely having to drop all their top words. Probably right now towards the base I'll be expecting. Until certainly it's gonna be needing the front wall in there all that much. Doesn't seem all that necessary considering that the gold is gonna be very nicely here at the back. And this is fairly nicely positioned as far as the lumber camp as well. So therefore he theoretically doesn't have to be walling as much. He can be kind of relying a bit more on quick walling, but still, it will be riskier because there will be the archers coming from the enemy flank possibly. If they are not the dominant player force here. Which kind of leads me, of course, to mention him that I'm not certain at this point about the power level of the teams. I'll be thinking that Nocturna B, based on the names that I'm seeing here, probably should be a bit of a favorite. Otherwise, we are playing in 2 groups per 8 teams. So that's first group stage, then we're gonna be having playoffs. It's kinda in a way similar to RTS League in a certain fashion. And we are going to be, of course, with the difference that RTS League is based on clans. This is like kinda random teams bit. But nonetheless, we are going to be, that was the important part in there actually. But nonetheless, well, good to be having this competition here. And I'm liking this World Team League. And they are not trying to pretend that they are clans as some others unfortunately are. Well, because clan sounds cooler, right? But clan and team are definitely not the same thing. But nonetheless, well, seems like a viable situation in here for the Vietnamese. For the opposition, for Nocturna B, we're gonna be playing with Madtomski as Briton. Oh, nice combination with the Frankies in the middle, by the way. But nonetheless, gold mine slightly exposed, so he needs to be working towards making it safer, yes. Very suck butt, here real hard, therefore. Having this forward, that's not gonna be too super comfortable for his therefore economy. No, and on the middle, and in the middle rather, as you mentioned, it's gonna be the Frank Acro 17, who is going to be therefore having the Franks very bonus, kind of well right now established. Doesn't seem like too much of a bad position. The wood line in the front helps quite a bit with this, so it's all fine. That's an okay base, I guess, for a pocket. And the last player on the left is gonna be Wean Dinchester from Nocturna B. He's gonna be playing with Italianos. Oh, double archer range, loving that. Not entirely something that you see too commonly in today's today's 1v1s. So you're gonna be very commonly seen just like only commitment to 1 and then some kind of semi-faster castle usually tends to be. Maybe it's only because of the tournaments I'm streaming, not sure. Could quite easily be. But well, nice to be seen right now that it's gonna be apparently from both sides. Full commit and, well, of course, multi-scouts. Well, I'm gonna be having the action starting as soon as possible. I'm like Cannabis right now making, can see village kill. How he's going about the archer ranges. He's trying to basically like avoid being too close to gold, and also he is gonna be practically securing the hill as well. So that's a good thinking in there by Ganji. But of course, from a top player, you will be expecting that exactly. So well done. And of course the bases he haven't entirely mentioned, but for the Dinchester, Jesus man, he has actually right about now lost the lottery in here. No protection whatsoever in here on both gold and food. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks but real bad, even more than on the other side. So definitely you could be saying that on the map that Team Sverige is a bit easier off. But it doesn't have necessarily, at this level, doesn't have to be as much of a disadvantage, but because players are super skilled here. Yeah, having way above 2k, all 6 guys here. Actually, I'm not sure about Sleepy Sweet, but he should be also, no, he's definitely 2k, but not sure how much higher than 2k. I mean, like, it's gonna be like a year plus maybe since I've streamed him last in some kind of match. So I might have already improved, so I don't want to be disparaging him or anything. But otherwise, fletching for triple archer civs. Green is flank of pocket civilization with the horseman in here. Can see yellow as well. Although we have currently 5 scouts for Acro, the green, and yellow sleepy city is gonna be the same. So far we seem to be holding pretty close, just like a insignificant difference in there. So it seems like that both are having good start into the match. Gonna be also pretty good practice for Nocturna. Nocturna B, because they're also gonna be having another match at 23 GMT, about 3 hours. Not gonna be streaming that, it's gonna be a bit too late, but currently there's another stream of this match by Lord Nvidia Tess. I'm thinking it's like Envis. Gonna be having to look quickly into the channel. You can find it in the tournament Discord potentially if you wish. There's a chat command, WTL 26 if you are interested for some information on Liquipedia, and they have links there into all the good stuff. But therefore, when I'm gonna be seeing it, yeah, it's gonna be Envis_AOE. Lord Envidiates is also casting this match, and it's gonna be also casting the other one later down the line. Gonna be doing this, depending on the length, maybe could be doing something else, but we have already started kinda later, so we'll see how hard battles these matches are going to be for us, and especially, of course, for the players. And of course, since they are team games, they usually take a bit longer, even with like the organizational stuff around them, than 1v1s. Okay then, so gonna be having some 7 scouties against currently 8. Quite an interesting battlefield because of all the hills. Nice little advantage for yellow. That's well fought at this point for him. Battle of patience. And who's gonna be potentially having to look at their economy first? But nonetheless, you can of course and should be kind of shift clicking then the units a bit further away if you need to be dropping some farms. And you can see on the villages, we do have some problem or not? Not too much. Not really. Seems like you're gonna be having some small, very little ebbs and flows, nothing really too important. As it looks like it maybe there's gonna be some slight clash here to the right. A little bit protecting, yeah, the forward berries with the tower, makes sense. Otherwise, 6 versus quite a nice army of archers from the Vietnamese, and of course, in the feudal age having a bonus because of the extra HP in there. Aye, that's also why. And where we are having the other army, Madtomski is actually off his base, so it's gonna be a good opportunity for Bullet. Defensive tower, it's an interesting spot for it, but okay. Seems to be right now thinking about the whole protection of this part of the base, not entirely wanting anybody to be coming in. Okay, bit of a hill advantage right now. A lot of hill advantage for Teal. Quite a nice little choke point actually he has found for himself in here. So, plenty of losses. 9 versus currently, what is it? 7 again still? 8. But this is gonna be requiring some kind of assistance from purple, it actually looks like. Especially the reinforcements for also green. Whereas on the left wing, we do have 15 versus currently 17. Plus Heliot again. Gonna be hard to really get anywhere here, it seems like, for either of them. So, what is going on here to the top side? Aye, this is going on. We have already actually killed about 3 villages in here. No, so Steel was paying attention elsewhere. Now he's gonna be having a bit of a problem because of it. Can see that now Madtomski has dropped to 34 villas, which is still not super deadly, but he is falling behind Bullet, for example, here on the flank, like 2.5 villages maybe of the difference currently. How many do we have currently? 14 versus, you can say it now, 13. We are going to be 1 and 1. Can see it now, defense missing for the Briton. He's gonna be wanting to camp the hill, of course, and potentially get some kind of advantage. You can see he's right now getting exactly that. So well done, but he also need to be looking a bit elsewhere, because there's gonna be a basically multi-battle at this point between the archers. And it's gonna be a lot more about the control of the horses at this point from Sleepy Sweet. And Acro, it's gonna be a lot more important in there. So all the way on the bottom flank, it seems like the players are so far just kind of like dodging each other, neither wanting to be committing to anything too super serious in there. Okay, 11 versus 12. Obviously, through the defender's advantage right now, Madtomski should be bit by bit getting a bit ahead. But so far it looks like that they have been able to force the Swedes, the Germans, away from their bases. So it's a bit of a success, as we are seeing plenty of castle age advances here. We do have Wean Dinchester, so that's the left side for both. Also Ganji. So both of them are advancing pretty much the same time. They play very carefully there and on same-ish level, it looks like. With Pocket Frank going through. Yellowge isn't. There's gonna be some kind of fun stuff in here, because you can say it now, Blue is looking for something to kill in the enemy base, whereas the red archers, they have a bit of a different idea, and oh, this is gonna be a damn good time, and you can say it now, Acro taking a bit longer to notice the red blob next to his base, unfortunately. So there we are. That looks like a bit of a success for him. army, of course, right now already sprinting home as soon as possible. As yellow is gonna be coming only now into castle age. You can say it now some, what, 60% difference. That is certainly not entirely too small, as blue is also right now pivoting away from red and trying to do some damage to Sleepy Sweet, evidently. Let's see if he's gonna be succeeding with that. And, well, Sleepy Sweet 43, Acro 36. If you're gonna be taking into consideration the advance is about 3.5 bills. So, yeah, that kinda sucks still. It's about like 3 villages behind at this point, green. So that's not entirely too comfortable, but of course army already through. We do have right now 1 and 1 on the horseman. That should be this. Should, but isn't. Missing right now the defense for Sleepy Sweet, whereas Acro is gonna be getting the second upgrade already. Crossbows and Botkin, sure. And all the way south, you're gonna be killing a villager. Oh, this is a problem. This is a major problem, because right now he doesn't have really any kind of defenses in place. So he's gonna be unfortunately quite a bit blocked and losing some villages further. Yep, there we go. There's gonna be already 3 lives lost. Well done. Well done. Indeed. Now let's see what's gonna happen. That's gonna be happening on the other side. Probably it seems like it's nothing entirely too serious, considering also the second TC finished for Acro. By the way, one of the co-hosts of the tournament. And we are going to be all the way right wing, having archers waiting for each other. 21 against 25. Doesn't entirely look actually that big, but evidently it is. And looks like that purple is also gonna be a bit later into the castle age by about 2 vills. A minute plus something. As opposed to right now teal. Just loving that hill here at the back. It looks like right now purple. But all the way south doesn't seem like you're gonna be doing anything else, but you're already doing enough. We are blocking gold from a castle advancing at this point cavalry civilization, so that sucks, but yet again real bad. And we are going to be at this point having already some knights queued in for the Frank. Second defense, of course, as you mentioned. You can say it now light cav and first defense, and of course a Magyar, so immediate iron casting for free. That's already and is already in place. 2 and 1. Blue archers are 2 and 2. For the Italian. Taking some nice attempts at some hills in here. Yeah, he's trying to hit actually the one who is gonna be constantly at hill advantage, so therefore receiving a bit less damage. But nonetheless, quite nice path at this point that Ganji has found for himself in here. And the light cav seem to be in sufficient enough numbers. Nicely protecting and blocking off the cavalry so that it cannot get all that easily upon the archers. This was well done by the Swedes, and that's gonna be resulting into actually a fairly profound victory for them. Sure, heavy losses and not entirely too many scouts legitimately left, which is gonna be easy to kill, but we have destroyed practically the green army. You can see it's gonna be at literally 1 unit. Sleepy Sweet has 7, but well, I guess it's gonna be given a bit more of a lifespan at this point to yellow, and time to defend against the nonsense in his base here. As you can see right now, the blocking of the army, and because of the blocking of the economy, it's fairly significant. But you also have to be looking a bit more to the right, because it looks like that, what is it, teal is going for a counter-offensive. You can see immediate ballistics in a moment. We do have on the villages, by the way, for the pockets. Acro at 43, Sleepy Sweet at 44, so we have practically gotten into the same level, which I'm thinking... Oh well, it's gonna be relatively worse because of decent idle timing for yellow, but nonetheless, I think it's kind of fine. Probably for both so far. Can see total numbers. Madtomski 37, Bullet at 38. He just needs to be there for getting everything properly together. That's the second piece of the army. Skirmisher there, okay. Bit unexpected. But that's gonna be right now the problem with the extra range here for the Britain. Incompetent hands, that is a major problem. Potkinero coming through elite skirmishers for Bulleteno, accepting that it's gonna be probably a bit of a longer game. So therefore the skirmishes, of course, are from that point of view gonna be making excellent sense. Regarding the Britons on the other side. A bit of a help from yellow is gonna be at this point. That's quite a nice pincer move with a bit of a support in there from yellow. That's gonna be resulting into a not a bad fight. There's some slight hill advantage here and there. Sometimes also disadvantage for him. And on the left side we are going to be having Ganji with 26. Dinchester is going to be at 21. So there is a difference. But not like a completely deadly one yet. However, you can say now some first horses going to be trying to find their way into the right now base here of the shoe. Second TC protecting gold. But still going to be open and there will be some opportunities. How to get, for example, here into the woodies. Yeah, okay, I was kinda thinking that maybe Ganji didn't see it, but luckily he did. Good job, well done. And I guess it's gonna be there for time to have a look a bit elsewhere, because as he was microwaving that, unfortunately you can say it now, Red Gear didn't entirely see or didn't control what was happening next to the blue base. This is what... Hey, it's actually a kind of random archer, but still, even that random archer could be getting some kills in. Might not be easy to notice for Wean Dinchester necessarily, but decently done. And at this point, he just, needs to be blocking the archers in here, of course. So that's gonna bait on some further losses. Unfortunate pathfinder in there for green, but whatever the case, gonna be having some decent success anyway with even a few villages. Jaboon in there. Sorry for the stupid move. I'm just gonna looking at this point on the villages, and my brain said that the hand has to be going there as well. But we are going to be there for having what? On the villages, 69 for Sleepy Sweet. Acro at only 60, so we're getting somewhere at this point with the pockets for all the sweets. That's really nice. Probably should be right now looking all the way top side, because there is going to be an important engagement. Don't want to say necessarily fight, but so far I'm kind of liking how Acro is helping on the flanks. The few horses here and few horses there, because it makes all kinds of difference in these exact matchups, especially if you're gonna be involved in at least a few skirmishes here and there. But this is a complete and utter massacre. Well done by Nocturna B, and this is a problem. Beat up, sure, it wasn't all the army of course, but nonetheless it's gonna be a bit painful, and giving some more chances to Madtomski here. It's gonna be villages, kinda same-ish, 2 difference in favor of teal, and then we do have 31-28. Same-ish difference in the crossbows. 2-1 and 2-2, but we do have a few skirmishes in there, which, well, is gonna be a bit of a liability right now since they are facing the cavalry. It's a bit unfortunate now, should have been having it a bit split. But yeah, well, cavalry, I guess he wasn't entirely all that prepared to fight too much. But nonetheless, it's a bit interesting how we're still trying to finish here, because it's always gonna be following some arrows into their backs of the villages in there, so it always was going to be risky. That sucks that actually the Vietnamese wasn't able to finish with this, and he's gonna be needing some kind of assistance from yellow very soon, who is though having a bit of a problem in his base, and he might not be even aware of the green. It's kind of hard to see in the minimap, right now he's noticing it. And so far the cavalry, a bit more helping on the left wing. How many do we have? 12 currently. Acro is gonna be the same, but he seems to be at this point at a better place and better spot for the moment. He also running out of gold, gonna be having to move over the outside. I'm not entirely certain that actually purple is all that prepared for that. It feels like that he isn't. Next gold mines, for example, here southwards, then should be something around his base, but I'm not entirely readily seeing it. Oh, there, on the left side, no. Definitely can be forgetting about it for the moment, so yes, this seems like a fairly major issue. He's gonna be able to produce some skirmishes still. But if that is gonna be the case, he's gonna be needing a lot more assistance from yellow to make it work. Really fighting, so therefore resulting also in a few kills. But nonetheless, he's just like still desperately trying to get the TC, and Jesus man, that's a... he wasn't expecting right now the second army to be arriving there so quickly. And therefore, 44 villages for Bullet, whereas Madtomski at 74. Okay, that's absolutely deadly difference. 21 units, Madtomski 28. Yeah, he doesn't... If he had like maybe 40-50 archers, then sure, he could survive. This is a problem. And well, it's gonna be time for Sleepy Sweet to carry hard. TC, by the way, finally finished. Well, definitely bought with a lot of lives of villagers. And we are going to be having 81-99, though, well, the pocket power actually might be coming through here. I mean, I guess already 17 villages more. It's like a fifth of the economy, 20%, more than that even. That's not too bad. That's gonna be doing something. If, of course, this is not going to be taking place in his base. Imperial Age, by the way, for Ganji, and also for Wean Dinchester. No, they're just gonna go holding pretty close fight in there on the left side. Having more of a... No, I mean, like, it wasn't too much of a 1v1 some time ago, but nonetheless, it is an appropriate fight, and Jesus, man, those losses is exactly what you mentioned. Well done by Acro, because this is gonna be practically eliminating the possible like problems that Nox could have been having if Sleepy Sweet was getting out of hand. At this point, he's getting a bit more controlled. Okay. It's nice raiding here on the side. Some synchronized dying in there. So Sweet has... No. He was like 70 villages above, and now he's barely 9. Like half of the advantage lost. At least Madtomski lost a few vills, but he's still gonna be 30 villages above Bullet. And Dinchester versus Ganji, that's gonna be Dinchester by about 17 vills himself. There's also a bit of a scary difference right there on the left wing. No, frankly, interesting fight, but looks like therefore the Germans are getting some more solid footing for the late game. Or have already gotten, and it's getting more and more solid as time goes. Some horse on horse action, 2 and 2. Other side, Franks is gonna be going to be without iron casting so far, but he's at least getting currently farming up. No, farming upgrade practically handcart. It's practically mostly for the farming, but of course even for wood lines and whatnot. Speed of the villages is gonna be always nice. 37 archers here, whereas well Ganji is gonna be having just a measly half army here. The other half waiting at home as he's getting the arbalest upgrade, but same situation on the other side. Bracer, chemistry. Curiously, right now Dinchester didn't have ballistics until now, and we are at 40 minutes. That's an odd one. That's a very odd one in there. Nonetheless, Yellow just gonna take in the green cavalry for a bit of a spin here, which is useful because you can see it's basically like double the unit chasing him, so it's a nice one. It's a good trade. Very good trade in the edge. Gold gonna be certainly requiring some kind of protection, either TC or maybe even a castle by now. Could be a thing. Can see getting plenty of stone, so yes, castle will be a consideration, I guess. No, and what is also a consideration is Yellow in the middle of Acro's base, getting already a few kills. Can see Acro 95 now, and Sleepy Sweet has gotten yet again into some healthy lead of about 25 villagers. So quarter economy extra, more than that, than what actually Acro is having. So still, even through the raids in there a bit earlier, Sleepy Sweet certainly does have the potential to be the game decider. As he's right now trying to get into Imp, opponent is the same, village faster, that's not entirely consequential really. Nice. Good victory currently right about now for Yellow game. And all the way right wing, I'll be having some remaining horses in here, nothing too important. And also, further gold mine that I didn't even see before. Yeah, DC to the left, tower here to the front, maybe some kind of castle here is also gonna be forward to protect the gold and overall the front of his base. Could be making some decent sense to me at least. Okay then. Getting ready for the late game. Thumbring for Ganji. Okay, that is it. Wow. No, most of the army for Dinchester currently on the other side of the battlefield. That is a bit interesting currently for Bullet because he is the one screwed. Okay, that's gonna be tough, I guess. So far he has to be right now dealing with battle in the front. He's gonna be losing villages at the back again, well done. So Bullet at 60, Madtomski 112, so we are at basically double the economy. No, he is definitely living on fumes at this point. You can certainly forget about Imperial Age. That should be a lot easier for Madtomski therefore, with the economy that he has, right?
Ready.
No, of course he's gonna be imping now. So there we go for him, and classic Arabia. If you remember the old school times, when we having the pawns on Arabia everywhere hiding with archers in there. Yeah, this brings back some memories. Because we don't entirely have too many pawns in the latest versions in the last 10 years or whatnot. Maybe even longer than that. So therefore, this wasn't too much of a thing, but well, for a bit of a diversity, yeah, getting some more of these yet again, so not sure how people are gonna be positively reminiscing on that, but for me as a caster it's fun to be seeing those things again. Okay, so horsemen 4 and 2 for the Magyaros. Cavaliers getting researched, last defense as well. We are having how many? Sleepy Sweet at 38, Acro is gonna be at 24 only. There's a significant edge. But, well, on the archers, that's a different story. Ganji 20, but with a 77 for beat Dinchester currently. There's a huge difference, advantage. Not a good fight. At least we do have some skirmishes in here for purple. And Bullet is at 43 units, whereas Madtomski is gonna be at 26. So this is actually an interesting idea. If Ganji can be holding for a bit, And they're just gonna need to be, though, unfortunately, somehow dealing with that. Then potentially there is a chance for this couple to maybe destroy Madtomski somehow. I kind of wonder if maybe it would be a better idea not to do that, but rather actually pivot into the middle and try to do something to Acro. Because at this point we have gotten into the late game, and it's gonna be therefore a bit more important who has a bit more thorough and undisturbed kind of cavalry economy and cavalry gameplay. You can see Acro 116, Sleepy Seed 117, so he's suffering some heavy losses yet again, trying to get a castle up, and he does have at least some of the horsemen, but his castle is, Jesus Christ, not getting done. Oh well, I mean, like, it's probably gonna be getting done, but the losses are gonna be monstrous. Both on the villages and also on the units, so that's unfortunate. No, but nonetheless, happened already, and well, look at that CDP Seed. He has dropped 17 villages during the last minute or two, so yeah, that's exactly what he mentioned, that he mustn't let happen if we are Team Sverige, but on the other side, Team Nocturna eSports B, they are certainly right about now, doing the good thing here in good fight. Interesting little now attempt by yellow, as they seem to be at this point not exactly kind of thinking what I'm thinking. They should maybe doing a bit more damage to Acro, probably spurred by what has happened to Sleepy Sweet in his base in the first place. Some good kills though at this point to Madtomski. Whoa, 85? Wasn't he like almost 120 as well? He has like, no? Yeah, I think he was. He was like 30-40 villages now. Okay. Well, it's kind of like the power of the double that he mentioned. The strength field was a bit elsewhere for the top team. No, problem is that we are losing plenty of the archers, and currently we are gonna be quite a bit heavy upon the skirmishes, so therefore the fights with the cavalry are getting worse and worse. As it seems like we have therefore finally right now handled the situation in here. It's kind of looking maybe for the dead blue archers. There used to be. Oh, there was apparently some kind of fight here. But, as you can tell, all the way on the left side, Dinchester already is ready for quite a hefty siege. With the Italian against Ganji the Shu. Can say right now, Shu is gonna be 123. We do have Italian 128, so economically the same. Army is definitely still not. Ganji is getting into like 40 plus, but we have still almost 70 on the other side. Can say also getting some skirmishers in there. Full upgrades each side. Of course, gonna be having the Vietnamese, so therefore Imperial skirmishes are gonna be available here for the whole team. So that's gonna be quite a bit helpful and excellent also. Now, Paladins are already ready for Acro. He's getting right now Blast Furnace. Paladins are getting research for Sleepy Sweet, as they're gonna be looking into pockets 40 Palace for Acro. Sleepy Sweet is gonna be at only 25 with the Cavaliers, so the power of the Cavalry has definitely switched into one side and into the other side, therefore. But nonetheless, good push right now by blue, and we need to be looking into the middle, where exactly the military prowess of the knights. Just kind of coincidentally yesterday looking at a documentary about the jousts in the Middle Ages, and on Kings and Generals channel. But nonetheless, well, strength is there, and of course, you can say the numbers kind of so far for green, but they are not entirely all that super scary here. Doesn't have everything together, it seems like. Right, now getting some gold from the middle of the map. And by the way, Imperial Age is in for purple. Whereas steel, he already is kinda, maybe especially not sure. He's getting last arch armor, gold shaft, plenty villages, and also elite skirms. Even for the Britain. Now we have gotten into almost like an hour of game time, so of course resources are gonna be becoming an issue. And it's gonna be there for even time to, well, start thinking about trade. Because this game doesn't necessarily look like that it's gonna be just kind of like done just yet. Doesn't seem to me so far. But quite an excellent opener in here. Exactly what you'll be expecting from these epic games. Okay, elite skirmishes for Ganji. Chemistry for bullet. Okay, yellow is getting currently a hand card. Huh. Okay, infantry, apparently. Infantry for the Briton. So I guess he's gonna be getting condos. Probably. Like he's Italian on the team. So I'll be expecting that maybe that could be the case somehow. Against all the skirmishes and stuff. Maybe some kind of plan and idea. But paladins, of course, on each side at this point are gonna be in good numbers already. Whoa, okay. Jesus, man, 60. 60 paladineros for Acro. Sleepy Seed is gonna be playing with about 50 currently. Nice, nice. It's gonna be somewhat of an interesting battle because at this point we're having practically the whole team together. Okay, getting some nice little engagement and huge, of course, even legs and everything. It's gonna be not entirely certain if it's from us or from the game, obviously, or from rather like the spectating could be. Not entirely all that certain, but whatever the case, they're going to be at this point having quite an important fight that seems to be going pretty well here for yellow, because of course right now green is gonna be losing tons of horses just because of the archers right now pummeling them. There's a big mistake currently right now by Ganji, losing all of these, and we also have a bit of a slight attempt at trading here at the back, which is nice. Okay, can be actually getting some pretty good kills if he discovers that gold mine. And that's why the flare is coming off for bullet at this point. Areas all the way into the midst. We are getting some kills on the other hand on Acro on the gold. It's pretty significantly important, otherwise the economy is pretty good. Acro just 20 villages less than he should be as a cavalry civilization. So that might be hampering his replacement capabilities. You can see he's already switching into light cav. No, but we also have to be saying that Sleepy Sweet is not having any kind of queue whatsoever currently. The same goes for Ganji and bullets, so that's Seaman a bit of a team problem. Interestingly, fortified wall for Ganji because he has a wall in on the left side, and yeah, thinking they're gonna be already yes, preparing of course for the trade. Same as to the top side, they already are trading the Germans. And on the armies, what do we have there for? It's gonna be kinda comparable if I'm looking at it first sight, about like 185 maybe for the Swedes. For the Germans, we are gonna be, that's gonna be about 70, 140, 180 approximately. So kinda same-ish. Kind of same-ish. At this point it seems like it's gonna be practically all the armies together here. It's kinda interesting maybe. In the FPS, yeah, well, seems like it right about now. Our CPU is maybe getting a bit breathed in here, in these big battles. But yeah, well, it is also. It is what it is, and unfortunately this game is, well, not entirely all that super well optimized, especially in the big fights in the team games. But whatever the case, you're gonna be therefore at this point having a huge, right about now, shootout and battle on our hands. Who's gonna be getting right now the victory out of it. I'm liking the hill advantage for blue here, because it's a bit, no, not sure if it's necessarily higher than these guys, probably not, it's only like a perspective. But yeah, not entirely having as many skirmishes to the top side. There are a lot more skirmishes here south, and therefore there's a pretty good chance that those are kind of gonna suck. However, looks like that probably the bottom team is gonna be breaking through. No, and actually, no, is it breaking through? Bullet is having right now 80 units, which is by far the most. Dinchester is gonna be at 60, and he doesn't have everything here, by the way. He's also gonna be having quite a solid portion here all the way southwards, where the Shu is abusing him with the traction trebuchets. So I guess it's at least something, how to divide the attention in here of Nocturna eSports B. But for the full armies, if you're gonna be talking about that, then we are at about 80, 90, about like 125 for Team Sverige. And 120 maybe. No, 125 as well, I guess, for Nocturna eSports B. So in the end, a huge massacre and a huge fight, but doesn't entirely seem to be having any kind of game deciding effect so far. Oh, with the timer, sorry. And we have reached over 1 hour of game time. So quite a nice opener for today's match. And then he's still gonna be having 2 more games of this. So looking forward to those. Okay, Madtomski is getting himself apparently Yeoman and Conscription. So finally, the extra range. And plenty of halberdiers. Okay, so he's already switching into the counter cavalry node. As it seems like it, yellow is getting at this point Magyar Hussars, if I'm seeing it correctly. Also elites, and also getting some caravans in there for sure, before he's gonna be able to supply some potential further paladins into the battle. And well, in the meantime, of course, the Frank is gonna be somewhat similar. He is getting a light cuff into the battlefield. Not entirely the trade though. Doesn't seem to be having any kind of trade spots in there. Albergia is just kind of thrown into the beat grinder in here. Runs all the way into the midst. Lightcuff against Lightcuff. He is gonna be battling it out between the Magyar and the Frank. Whereas it looks like it all the way on the bottom side. Oh, I was going to say it, maybe Ganji is getting kind of like defeated here, but not really. Just gonna get him pushed back here temporarily. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be anything lasting, but a bit more of a problem could be right now the free raiding with the green into the trade route. At least it seems like at Sleepy Sweet is gonna be having some scouts and guards around, so you should be able to potentially catch them. Like, and of course the scout in here by Ganji, so that you're gonna be having a bit better idea about when the raiders are around. Well done so far. And all the way upwards. Seems like it's him attempt. At this point down by Sleepy Sweet. Looks like it maybe it's gonna be having, no, maybe. It's going to be having simply similar effect at this stage. And similar result. Overall. Advice also, the top team is trying to get some kind of team wall going. Can't say it now, the stone wall in here and there. Not entirely finished yet. It always reminds me of new chapter team or clan in RTS League and other competitions 10 years ago. They were very famous, especially with a wall in Arabia. They were always very ready to be dropping a huge wall through the middle of the map. Top level players in there. Just remember Pedro as their clan organizer. Clan operator for RTS League and also for other competitions. And he usually was playing in blue color, if I'm not mistaken. But all the way southwards, what do we have? So the Magyar Hussars, sure, for yellow, but nonetheless Lightcuff still finding some opportunity on a few caravans here and there, but all kinds of shooting by the random castles and catch up with the Hussars. This is just gonna be right now making sure that here and there they're gonna be dying, and now we can even sling. Yep, slinging is available only when the slinging player is in the Imperial Age. Otherwise, if there is some kind of specific situation when, for example, the player is like not having resources even for lumber camp and would be wanting to rebuild, then yes, it is available. It is possible to send the 100 for the lumber camp even sooner. But otherwise, not a possibility until Imp, when the players can therefore start doing whatever the hell they want, because that's where it doesn't entirely matter as much. Because the slinging strategies have been prevalent in the past. Like plenty years ago. And the importance, of course, was feudal age players slinging into, you know, the one propelling himself into powerful Imperial Age. No, nonetheless, you can say that Ganji is going to be actually helping out a bit. Seems like he's also stabilized this battlefield on the left side. He is going to be still at only 30 units, by the way. But at least Dinchester is nothing, or is not on anything too super obscene. It's at about 55. We do have those 70 cavalrymen for Acro. Also mixing some paladins in there, it looks like, but that seems kind of random. And for yellow, Sleepy Seed is gonna be at only 20 units here, with the elite Magyar Hussars in here. But they're gonna be pretty nice, the Magyar Hussars, because of course Frank is having only the light cuff, so that sucks. Not gonna be good enough. So there certainly is some kind of opportunity here for Team Sverige through that. But currently, yeah, this looks like to be maybe one of the more important pieces of the map. However, I want to be also switching a bit quickly to the left side, because apparently skirmishes from red are trying to take the attention a bit elsewhere. By the way, also fairly solid wall in here, it seems like, for blue. But yeah, this is nicely done. It's just gonna be right now meaning, and maybe for a moment at least his base is not gonna be under constant duress. So I guess that's nice. Castle hit points for Sleepy Sweet and Chemistry. Architects for Wean Dinchester. Sure, somebody. Few remaining upgrades that are still available in the game at 1 hour and 9 minutes of game time. No, and Bombardos apparently from blue. As I was talking about the potential kind of like diverted attention of his by the red skirmishes in there. Seems like it's not gonna be true anymore. I'm kind of like in the combination of arbalests. You can say it has some Genoese crossbowmen in there. And a fairly nice mixture overall. Okay. Nicely done so far. Apparently blue is gonna be also getting fortified walls now, considering that we have just mentioned about this wall in them. It has to make an excellent sense that he's gonna be doing that. Kinda curious if maybe somebody is missing some interesting upgrades. Now, for example, economically Magyar is missing the Imperial H1s. Frank obviously not on the farming, but on the wood he's missing even Boso. Okay. It's something that potentially could be and should be improved. For Madtomski, economically he's not having any. He's not having anything on farms at all. I mean, like, not like he's having too many of them, but still. Ganji with the shoe, also missing 2-man saw, and no gold shaft, but... Oh, in the stage of late game, I guess it would be nice if there is still some kind of gold left, there is. I'm not really certain about that necessarily. Italian is gonna be missing crop rotation, and also could be nice, considering how long a game it is, and it looks like that maybe it could be still a bit longer, anyway. It still could be, and you can say the button all the way top. Gonna be also looking at Vietnamese. He's gonna be also missing crop rotation currently. Kinda like the classic upgrade that people do not get because they usually do not expect the game to be too long, but well, now they will be wishing they actually had it. Whatever the case, we also didn't collect all that many relics. I'm seeing at minimum about 2 blinking in the middle. I'm fairly certain it may be even a few more, but nonetheless, I'm thinking about 2. I'm seeing that, so maybe the rest have been somewhat collected, hard to say. At this point it's impossible to notice on the minimap properly, considering how much of a big one it is. But, important right now choke point. It's gonna be hard to get the paladins into the mix. Who is, at this point, the Frank, finally having some nice trade route, allowing him to get in the power units. Now, and of course waiting for Sleepy Sweet to be arriving at the same situation. So far Acro, about 50 Paladinos. Sleepy Sweet is gonna be at about 40 Magyar Hussars. No, and on the overall armies, 70 for Bullet, Madtomski 50, that's an edge. And in the opposite direction, Ganji 40, Dinchester 70. So, yeah. Loving this here. Complete another block. So of course right now strongly advantageous for the defenders because the paladins are blocked and they can't be there for enacting and using all their strength and power that they have. But well, the Genovese crossbowmen are of course gonna be quite a bit deadly into that moment. Having some fairly, at this point, a high activity in here going on. Now in kind of like the overall it looks like it's probably the top team. Might be a bit closer currently to success, but I definitely wouldn't be wanting to call it yet, because it is still practically like a battle, Black Foresty battle in the middle. Without a clear difference. It's not definitely all that much of a done deal just yet. Also doesn't seem like that you're gonna be having any kind of like straight ideas to be switching a bit elsewhere. No, but that lost castle is gonna be a problem, because at this point it looks like the Germans are finally breaking through at least a bit. And they are going to be there for having availability of just basically not having to defend too much. Here's gonna be now practically getting closer. Oh, it's not entirely close to the trade yet, so they definitely do have a lot more ground at this point. Team Sverige to be giving up. However, it's, well, not gonna be entirely the easiest thing to do. And of course right now the inherent issue is that we have the Italians, and they have tons of Genovese crossbowmen, so therefore, yeah, sure, we're gonna be having Paladins versus Paladins. It looks like it also always right now switching, but the Genovese crossbowmen are basically both archers and also counter cavalries, so that is a huge problem and huge advantage. Plus, we also do have apparently switch into longbowmen for the Briton. Oh, and that will be of course the Bell French against whatever you have here with the Imperial skirmishes at 8. So that is although somewhat of a problem in here. But nonetheless, Imperial skirms, right now the Vietnamese are quite a bit of a nice help here too. As you can tell, also Shu has switched into halberdiers, but well, it seems like right now the Swedes are recognizing that they have been really broken into a bit too much and a bit too strongly, and therefore the GG is gonna be called in the first game after though 1 hour and 19 minutes almost of a battle. Now that was quite a bit of a fight that I'm hoping that everybody has appropriately enjoyed. We're gonna be giving that for Nocturna eSports B the first victory. And it's a best of, it's not the best of, it's all 3. So we're gonna be having some further 2 games in here still to be played. Let's see if they're gonna be as long. I guess maybe depends on what kind of maps specifically they are going to be selected as. Okay, so fairly nice. And I guess at this point we are gonna be having an opportunity to check out some statistics for a bit. For the villages, are we ending at something curious? No, Ganji at 160 is a bit curious. I guess, well, usually happens with the trade. And then you have to be taking some villages off, which didn't really happen yet. On the armies, it's obviously you can see triple 60s for NOCs at the end. For Sverige, yeah, just are basically depleted. Only bullet is having something realistically interesting at 50. Yeah, that's already a bit too low. And, well, something else otherwise. Sleepy Sweet, fairly decent echo again. A bit overblown because of the transition into trade. He was transitioning into trade a bit later. He was kind of hoping that he's going to be managing it, through the Magyar Hussars, but the game turned out to be long enough for the trade to come in. So, that was one of the painful decisions, I guess. But in the end, it was also a decision that probably helped them stabilize there in the kind of like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So hard to say if it was maybe the mistake or not. And hey, Kainer. Well, thank you for stopping by then. Hope you had some measure of fun, besides the possible lags in some of the bigger battles. And there's also another stream, as I mentioned, Envis_AOE, Lord Nvidia is also casting the match. And he's also gonna be casting the match of Nocturna eSports B that's gonna be happening in about 2 hours. I'm not gonna be doing that anymore. But he is having in his title that he's gonna be doing it. But nonetheless, we have still some games here to go through. So for some upgrades, we have kind of gone through some of the economical ones. We probably didn't have anything extra added for any of the teams. Can't say it now. What are we missing for the Vietnamese? Not much. Military-wise, he wasn't really switching through Halberd. Yes, he was maybe now trying, but never really got there. For the Magyar, yeah, he was missing, unfortunately, the Imperial Age upgrades there. For the Echo, that could have helped at least a bit. For the red player, we are 2 men so missing, for sure. It's an easy one to get. Otherwise, seems solid. For the Italian, also crop rotation, of course. Again, most of the players do not expect games to be this long. So therefore, they do not entirely think about the return of investment, because crop rotation is kind of expensive for that. Obviously, it will be free for the Frank. He is missing the bow saw. There is a mistake in there. Otherwise, though, the cavalry, obviously, easy civilization for him to play. And for Britons, nothing on the farms is a bit surprising. Yeah, actually, he doesn't need as much, but still, for at least a few, it could be somewhat useful in the earlier stages. But again, as you can see, he's not needing much. He was basically fully onto the archers, and as the game progressed, didn't really need anything more. So for some of the statistics here, apparently Acro, surprisingly having the highest military. Usually it's an archer civilization that's getting the most kills. Oh, that's very surprising that it's gonna be a cavalry civ. Dinchester 700 in here. Madtomski a lot less, but really the paladin kills here, they paid off. This is a surprising statistic. It really doesn't tend to be this way. Like maybe, no, almost like never. So kind of curious, but whatever the case, we are going to be looking at fairly solid sling. You can see Win Dinchester, Jesus man, into Acro. Oh, no, that's the reason why we were actually having so many paladins in there. Okay, that makes sense. That's a fairly good sling in there. He also started with the trade early. You can see 18,000, and it makes overall excellent sense because he was economically well off. He was always kind of like the one a bit ahead, and even more ahead when you compare him with Ganji. So he was slinging already before, same as Ganji, I guess. But he was of course also having easy transition into caravans because gold and wood, right? It makes sense. It's pretty good. Got the amount of gold But nonetheless, Ganji versus Wean Dinchester, therefore the difference will be what, 2-9, or is it 3-9 actually? 3-9 and 25. Okay, so 28-9, 28-9, 29, 30,000. And this is gonna be there for what, some 9-4. So 39,400 resources more for Wean Dinchester and Ganji. That is actually, that's an absurd difference. No wonder he was able to send half of that away. Okay, for the other flank, that's gonna be Bullet versus Madtomski then. What is it? 2-8. 2-8. That's gonna be there for 3 and 10, so 13. 13. 12 to 19 to 19.3. 19,300 resources more for Madtomski than Bullet. No, considering what happened to Bullet somewhere at about like 30 minutes of the game time, or maybe even earlier than that, how he was let half the economy of Madtomski, like 60 versus 120 then. No wonder. And the pockets, it's gonna be interesting to me. Acro versus Sleepy Sweet, that is a 5-6. 5-6, this is gonna be 8, so therefore 2-4, 2-6, and that's gonna be 28, 29, 1, 900 resources more for Sleepy Sweet than Acro. That's kinda nice for Acro, because, no, well, I'm entirely 100% certain if the slung resource is actually counted in here. But nonetheless, Sleepy Sweet was having much better economy than Acro for the longest time. I can say it now, they managed to compensate for that rather well, Nocturna eSports B. So well played, well done, Madtomski. Well, switching into different units in there as well. Relics for Sleepy Sweet, just the 3, as I mentioned, or 2 were still on the battlefield in the middle. So they weren't accounted for, but still, good 2,000 extra, as you can tell. So it wasn't too early picked up, but recognize the importance. GG. Okay, so question is Ganji even playing because they have bigger teams? Gonna be having to check if they are already prepared to play. Okay, they're right now just in the lobby. Not sure if maybe there wasn't some kind of restart or whatever. Usually isn't. Usually isn't. Okay. Arena. Promises to be another long game. But 2 minutes spec delay. I'm gonna be fetching myself something sweet and then we continue with the games. Alright then, so let's head into another, probably fairly longish game we could be having here again. So you're gonna be having game number 2 on Arena. No, and we have some new players. No, Mr.Dobbsn, for example, for Nocturna eSports B. And then on the other team, we are going to be having Spaden, looking forward to him. And Frost9 is gonna be playing here for the Swedish. Okay, so what do you have overall in here? So Dinchester is gonna be playing on the flank here for Nocturna eSports B. He is going to be having both of the gold mines, kind of one side, but it stores his pocket, so that's all good. So you can see now this one is gonna be completely fine. This one slightly maybe problematic. What could be some slight issue maybe will be the stone here on the front. That might be challenge if he's gonna be maybe a castle drop, and considering he's having a Turkish against him, it's a possibility. At the same time he's a Portuguese, so he might be having the same thought. So that's gonna have to be remains to be seen what they're gonna be having in their mind, both teams. Into the pocket, he's gonna be playing with Acro again, who is gonna be Hindustani. That certainly looks like a boom attempt in the pocket, therefore. Gold is gonna be fine. Main one, playable too. Stone is gonna be fine. That's an okay pocket position in my opinion. And the last player all the way top first, that's gonna be there for Mr.Dobbsn, the new arrivee. He's gonna be playing with quite nice Bengalis. So it feels like we could theoretically go into some Ratas as well, but maybe would be a bit more expecting some classic pre-siege possibly in here. Okay, it's gonna be maybe slightly more likely. Super gold for that, at the back of his base, but at the same time he's also gonna be having forward stone. So might be somewhat of a challenge. Yet again, if there will be some kind of castle drop. As for the opposition, Ganji is playing with Armenians. Armenians on Arena. I mean, like, sure, you're gonna be having great monks. Theoretically, you might be having for the warrior priests again. Some kind of earlier push with them. That might be for that, no. I mean, like, it has been a bit nerfed in some of the patches like a month ago or when. But I've still seen people play it, so I guess it's still viable. The warrior priests build with the Armeniano, but nonetheless gold is gonna be fine. Secondary, who cares? Stone is pretty much fine as well. You can see there's gonna be the forest going into the walls, so that's all fine. No easy and quick path in there. In the pocket he plays therefore with Spaden as the Burgundian. Interesting Civ, obviously should be Boomfest, and then kinda depends if it's gonna be Paladins or Custiliers. Hard to say. Or maybe, well, in the end it could be even something like hand cannoneers, if need be. If there's gonna be some necessity born for that. But nonetheless, again, the resource is fine. Secondary gold mine, doesn't entirely matter where it's going to be here. And the last player, before they mentioned the Civilization, that's gonna be there for Frost9 here, playing with the Turkish. Gold. It's kinda okay. Could have been worse. We'll be probably having to think about maybe walling this piece of the map off at least. But he also does have... the secondary gold is gonna be completely safe here at the back. So even if maybe there will be some issue with the frontish one, or fronter one, I guess, then it's gonna be fine. Stone is... not entirely as close to the wall as you can see on the other side. So theoretically he might be having a bit easier time with it. And I'm of course loving how he's already dropping the houses in there. Leaving a hole here on the left side. Hopefully that's not gonna be some kind of problem down the line. And I can tell that so far Dinchester is not even thinking of it. It's a bit interesting. Could be therefore meaning that he is the one who's gonna be planning to drop an aggressive castle therefore. Like, it's kinda evident he's gonna be playing that way, but the lack of walling seems to be showing quite a lot of confidence. Frankly, based on the last game where he definitely was excellent, he was one of the key pieces of the success of his team. Can't entirely probably blame him for that, I guess, self-confidence. But I guess, well, in the meantime, we're gonna be there for having time for having a look at the drafts. We didn't manage to have a look at on the last game, since there was a lot of activity going on constantly and all the time. So for the maps, the last one we're gonna be also playing will be Nomad. Well, look at that. So, that's a very nice old school trio, because you can be also having all kinds of other maps. Classic Golden Lakes, Fortified Clearing, for example, Maghreb, Chaos Pit. Looking forward to those. Those are usually very fairly entertaining team games on that. And as opposed to what you could be thinking, they very often are very long. 2 rivers. That is a very specific map. Remember that from... Oh... From a different team tournament. Might have been even Nations Cup. Not sure, but... That is a known map. Team Islands, of course, mustn't be missing. Migration, Classics, Frontline. So they kind of spawn in a line, kind of. Like one after the other. That's an interesting map from just the picture in here. But nonetheless, that's what's gonna be still played. And for the civilizations, we have banned Chinese, Spanish, Celts. Oh, actually, Celts are a bit of a... Maybe... I'm not entirely wanting to say they fly under radar. For the top players, they definitely don't long term. But maybe for not top players, a bit interesting civilization. With very cute bonuses to them. Bohemians, of course, got Mayans. Well, look at those guys getting banned again. Well, this time you don't have any kind of arena into sling and obsidian arrows. That's not a thing anymore. Ethiopians, very interesting ban as well. Ethiopians, It's not a common one at all. No, but nonetheless, what are we gonna be having for the last map? Hindustanis, Franks, Banks, Portuguese, Italians, Britons. Okay, Huns, Mapuche. Hope we kinda like to see that in a team game. So hopefully, last game is gonna be bringing that. Then Turkish, Vietnam, Shu, Burgi, Magyar, and Armenians. So you're gonna be left with Lithuanians, Dravidians. What is the last map? Therefore, Nomad. Okay. Wait, Malians, Lithuanians, and then one of those, I guess. Maybe a Dravidians, a bit nice. And then Berbers, Huns for sure, and then the last one. Anybody's guess, I guess, what they have as a plan. But let us have a look therefore into the game, because we are gonna be slightly moving through into the future already. So what are we having around here? Some special preparations, stable for fighting for the relics, okay, in the castle age. So far, no stone for the Armenians. Looks like it's gonna be some kind of probably monk war here to the right with the... Aha, scratch that, it's not going to be that. I was thinking maybe it will be some monk and warrior priest war, but I guess that maybe the Bengali wasn't entirely thrilled about it against the Armenians, so he's gonna be castling into Ratas. Pocket. Yeah, same. Fight for the relics in the middle, and the left side. Yeah, that's why he wasn't, of course, defending as you mentioned at the start. He was planning to be the one dropping the Agro castle. And the Turkish, interestingly, on the other side, he is not entirely right now ready. He's gonna be very slow frost. No, it's gonna be a problem for him, probably. Straight the castle into his face. Not much of a help from his teammates. He's not prepared for the walls. Yeah, this is gonna be a problem. I mean, like, he's gonna be able to drop a castle to help himself somewhere about, like, maybe here. He needs to be blocking this path in through gold, I'm guessing. And then probably should be working on a wall to the top. So that he's not gonna be allowing the units to go, like, around him and into the back of his base. So that's what he should be preparing for as well. Okay, so he's gonna be right now choosing to go for a bit more of a defensive castle. But, as he mentioned, the walling is gonna be coming in exactly as it needs to be. So, he probably could have been making this castle like a piece of the wall in here and therefore saving some stone. Could have been a bit more sturdy as well, but in the end, this is gonna be providing him with an extra help because he doesn't need murder holes. He will be therefore able to practically shoot at everything all the time. So from that point of view, it's fine. Can't be getting through the tree yet. In the Imperial Age possibly, but in the Imperial Age there are gonna be a lot more bigger problems overall. So I'm thinking that the Turk currently Managed to at least right now stave the worst off, but he's gonna be just like inherently quite a bit behind. And now it's gonna be resulting into wisely Wean Dinchester switching into the pocket. And he's gonna be possibly able to do a bit more damage. Okay, Ratas around. Warrior Priest trying to get home with some of the relics in here. You can say now even 3 Ratas are gonna be having a problem to even... No, first, without ballistics to hit him, but even to destroy him. So, like, you know, he's switching into melee. But he could be just gonna leave in, like, 1 melee, and the others would be on the range still. Gonna be done a bit better. But nonetheless, you can straighten out distribution and kind of diverting into some of the normal monks for the conversions, making pretty good sense in here. Okay, 1 free. Second collected. Still gonna be having right now 3, 4 on the map. What I can tell. 1, 2, 3, 5 actually on the map still. Yep. Bit higher amount in general. But nonetheless, petards are in. Oh, so actually Wean Dinchester wants to be getting into the yellow base even sooner. No, well, Palisades are of course not gonna be enough of a defense at this point, but obviously Spaden right now at 3 TCs would be imagining he's gonna be having a bit more of an easy time. And as he mentioned earlier at the start of the game, when you're going through the civilizations, that maybe the Hindustanis are gonna be here for the echo. Well then, maybe it was just a trick. Has to be making us think so, and now he's gonna be having Lightcuff loaded into the base of the enemy. Oh, he's trying to right now drop some further ones. He doesn't have therefore stone. Okay. Doesn't have stone, but interestingly the Ganji is getting redemption. So we're gonna be soon converting some of the organs here. Okay, there we go. No, not gonna be entirely able to get home probably with this one, but maybe the next is gonna be fine. Can't say it now, of course, the bonus damage. Helping out in here. Of course, second TC. Stone, very interesting here for the Hindustani. Castle right now defensively here, ready for the Ratas and for the Bengalis overall. Whereas we don't, of course, see any kind of attempt here, because obviously there's not much to be attempting. And this is gonna be somewhat hard to properly cooperate and coordinate. Because of course every single player here is practically like locked off. And if they will be arriving without the support of the others, they will be of course getting destroyed. And this is gonna be apparently another castle from right now the Portuguese. No, and well, as I was kind of expecting it, maybe this is gonna be a long game. Actually looks like it, maybe it doesn't even have to be as much. Rather feels it's going to be something else. Okay. Seems like this castle is gonna be quite a bit easily finished. You can see right now red player is nowhere to be seen, because at this point Acro is doing an excellent job in actually blocking him from arriving with anything that he has. He's having a fairly solid army, but against those scouts, nope, no chance to be getting in. And therefore can't be helping with the conversion of the organs. This is so far well tactically played by Nocturna eSports beams. It's gonna be very hard for the team Sverige to even figure out some kind of way out of it. Definitely feels and looks very, very complicated indeed, but good team strategy. That's kind of what works. You don't have to be necessarily slinging, but if you do have some really supreme strategy and superior strategy than your opponents, then obviously it matters quite a ton. But nonetheless, looks like yellow is gonna be probably for the moment holding. I wonder if it would be useful for him to even get the redemption and try to convert something. Probably not. To be very expensive in general. A few warrior pieces in here, some spearmen or two, but yeah, this is right now exactly what I was mentioning. If they're gonna be venturing out on their own, then this is gonna be a complete disaster. You can see Ganji losing practically everything in here. Excellently played. Nox absolutely exactly knew what they are expecting the opponents to do. And well, the opponents just gonna did it. So there we are. That's gonna be some success. Potentially also that's gonna be meaning that Frost can maybe go help. That's... wait a second, that's all the army that he has. Oh yeah, that's actually all the army that he has. No, that's a problem there for number 2. That's not too great. Of course, not gonna be having a chance on this castle here at all. You can say now Dinchester 13th, well for Dobbsn. Then we do have 1 for Acro, but for the others, for the other team, we have Spaden at 6. With the Mangonels and something small in there. And then we have like 2 units for Ganji and Frost at 6. So we have practically nothing for Team Sverige. It's unceremoniously executing there the monk. Huh. But at least the defensive castle might be working in here. But the problem is that Dinchester is getting imp. So is Frost though. And that is why he doesn't have the army. So he's gonna be trying to play therefore upon... I guess the bombards, no. Considering he has the free chemistry, he's gonna be having them pretty quick. Suppose, of course, to the opponents there. Dinchester is gonna be needing chemistry first. It's kinda funny, of course, when you consider that he does have a gunpowder unit in the castle already. But, yeah, the game doesn't always make perfect sense. Actually, he wants to be getting like another castle in here. He was probably hoping to be dropping one upon the opponent. As it looks like Atil is gonna be having a counter castle himself. No, that's gonna be tough unless we have some kind of help here. And oh man, we have a help coming. Yeah, this is a disaster right now for Ganji. Wonder if they're gonna be even holding through that still, because this is gonna be the second disaster for Ganji. For Ganjeno, with about 40 villages that he currently has. Same as Frost, same as Dinchester. But Dobbsn, for example, at 80, Acro the same. And well, Spaden too, but nonetheless, this is... Ay. Getting the castle apparently done, but the losses are monumental. Oh. No, at least it's done, I guess. So they're gonna be right now living off some kind of hope. Ganji holds like 10 villages on this. Quarter of his economy. I guess it doesn't help too seriously, but at least he did manage to convert, as you can tell, a few organs, so that's nice. And if he could be sending some villager maybe here in, then he could be even repairing. Possibly, so that could be nice. Okay, castle already coming down because of early trebuchet. And having some interesting army of Janissaries. Getting some ups, so far not. That's the imp for the Portuguese. Castle already gonna be right now dealt with. So it looks like the Team Sverige, even through the massive sacrifice in there of Ganji, is gonna be finally able to get somewhere. And it's gonna be quite a bit timely, because he could have been very soon, well, provoking him with some trebuchets as well of his own. No, and well, since we are gonna be in the imp here for the Armenian too, then he's gonna be having... Actually, kind of good job that he managed to even get that. But he's gonna be having quite a good control at this point of Dobbsn. Obviously, Dobbsn has invested into economies. He's at about almost 100 villages, Mr.Dobbsn. Whereas, well, Ganji is gonna be 40, sure. But that Imperial Age is a significant factor. You can say now there's no imp coming through here for Dobbsn. Still getting himself there for the perfect economy if he can, and hoping that he can survive. Whereas for the Hindustani, 3rd, 4th TC, castle coming up. Yeah, getting ready for the late game since he is in the imp. As well. Switching through camels. It's gonna be super annoying here for the Burgundian, because he doesn't have the bloodlines. So therefore his cavalry is not gonna be entirely as powerful. So important to rely upon the huge group of monks here for Ganji. And at the same time, maybe also Spaden could be starting to switch into halberdiers there. At least partially. And kind of support. Okay, so far the Burgi is gonna be getting his special Burgundian vineyards. For the farmers getting some extra resources there. No, this is actually looking kind of interesting. Rata so far 2-0. Blocking the castle in there with the patrol. Hopefully not gonna be a problem, and hopefully still gonna be able to finish in time. Can't say now heavy camels, almost 0 upgrades, only just the first defense. What are we getting otherwise? Defense on the cavalry for Mr.Dobbsn, for the Ratas. Theocracy for Ganji, so that we don't waste faith. Fletching for the castles. And not only those, he's also getting some composite bowmen into the mix. You can see what actually good stuff and how much fun you can be doing with quality gameplay. Looked like that that the Team Sverige were almost done for some 10-15 minutes ago, and now it's actually them who are having their chance to potentially finish the opponents. As they are having already elite Janissaries. As you can see right now, defense definitely can be still getting a bit better for them, but they are all about the massive damage that they do. And you can see the castle will be right now, meaning that it's gonna be even worse for the opponent. He is having... Huh. Wow, watchtower, okay. Aha! He's trying to right now go through the Fatoria now. So therefore, lack of economical upgrades would be making sense considering how he was so far playing. Yeah. No, this is a problem because he has right now invested into this. You can see army is non-existent for blue. He is gonna be currently at straight 0, 40 villages. Yeah, he's dead. Same as right about now all the way topside. We are okay. Going for the counter-offensive. Gonna be interesting maneuvering if the scouts can be getting into the monks somehow. But yeah, there we go. The maneuvering didn't work out for Spaden. He was just gonna control it as a whole group. So therefore, we are getting in. So therefore, Mongols are dead game. Right now, composite bombing getting attacked by the camels. This is a fairly bad fight for the Swedes. Let's see if they're gonna be able to manage due to the power of the cavaliers, even without the bloodlines. So far, looks like it maybe it's at least not gonna be a complete and utter disaster. That they are doing a good job against the Ratas here to the right. This is frankly an acceptable result. It's not a win for Ganji and Spaden, but managed to finish the castle, so therefore gain a bit more of a foothold in the enemy base. Eliminated solid portion of the enemy army. So I think this is okay, because it gives more time all the way to the bottom for Frost to actually destroy, like literally destroy Dinchester, make it a 3 versus 2. Before potentially there will be some kind of proper replacement of Dinchester. And I wonder if maybe they're gonna be able to sling him back at this point. Maybe the Hindustani, not really. Rata Maker, so not entirely really. Doesn't look like that he's gonna be right now receiving the treatment in the opposite direction to the last game. Feels like not. Feels like that it's not going to be entirely the case. Okay, so all the way southwards, situation is pretty much resolved at this point. However, what they should be doing is not killing the Fatoria. They should be letting Ganji try to convert them. He should be trying to send monks over and convert them to see if Dinchester is gonna be paying attention. Because if he doesn't, and if he doesn't delete them, that will be a pretty huge help. This is a very short-sighted what they are right now doing here. Because it doesn't take any kind of super attention or whatever. I guess maybe they also have in mind they want to be destroying the resources there as soon as possible. But well, you can always do it in a bit of a different way. No, and apparently right now battle number 2. And this time we don't entirely have as many monks at this point, rather actually almost none at all. I was gonna hear in some conversion, but not entirely seeing the monks anywhere. No, and with the paladins there already, you can see right now missing blast furnace for yellow. He is right now getting it only researched. The composite bowmen are having what? No defense. Attack is missing chemistry, it looks like. I guess maybe he wasn't even having university, I'll be assuming. So probably has to be still built. But nonetheless, castle is gonna be gone. You can see the foothold is gonna be growing quite a bit weaker here to the right. But the damage to blue has been done. You can see 24 villages, 0 army. Yeah, he doesn't really exist. Now it depends how quickly Frost is gonna be able to do something similar to green. Switching over. Frost doesn't have too much of an army. I mean, like, he's having only 20 Janissaries. So if he would be having some charge from the enemy camels, he probably could be destroyed fairly easily. Maybe they don't even realize that, but evidently GG will be coming already. So, I'm thinking that it's enough. Definitely seems like that it might be. I'm really disappointed how they just kind of destroyed the Fatoria. Thinking they could have been playing a bit more towards them and into them. But, well, that's of course something that is a bit useful for the Portuguese. He doesn't have to be really rebuilding as far as the economy. With villages, he just needs to be building Fatoria and he's gonna be basically almost instantaneously back if the teammates can be providing the resources. But nonetheless, looked like that they are almost dead, and in the end they are gonna be right now celebrating the victory at a fairly standard length. At this point, Arena and Team Sverige tying the matchup at 1-1, and well, the last one on Nomad will be there for deciding who gets the victory in the third round of group. What is it? Group A of World Team League 2026. the Invitational. How is it properly called? 2026 Invitational season, or basically the first season. No? I'm not sure if I wanted to be saying the Invitational, if it's supposed to be inaugural, but nonetheless, it's how it is. And we are going to be at this point having a look at some of the builds again. Can see Dinchester at 18, but he was already having some second Tiniae. He was working on a third one, so he will be soon quite a bit up. So like 58 currently. Against in Frost at 84, so you managed to get something decent. Ganji still at only 49, and even though Mr.Dobbsn is at 85, well, through the massive losses earlier, good tenacity and performance anyway. Acro 135, 145 for Spaden, well done there. And for the armies, you can see almost nothing besides Acro for Nocturna eSports B, whereas Team Sverige is going to be at about 80 plus combined overall. So for Mr.Dobbsn, economically and everything, you can see it's not too terrible, considering that it was an early action game. Then second levels, of course, the hand card, and there are some missives, but again, through the considerations of the game, it's fine. No bloodlines, armory, or blacksmith also missing some upgrades in here. For the green player, for his pocket, for Acro 17, he's gonna be missing 2 Menso and Blast Furnace for the Chemos, and Imperial Chemos, of course. Didn't manage to get as far. With any kind of super extra high resources, just the gold, I guess maybe a bit bigger here for Dobbsn. And for the blue player, for the Portuguese, he was there for economically having almost nothing. He was he was planning on there for the Tiniae being his main source of income. And for the opposition, for the Turkish, you can see it's gonna be there for no hand cards and nothing else. It's kind of curious combination overall, but sure, I guess. Again, he was a bit on timer here with his fast Imperial Age, and therefore trying to do some significant damage to the enemy as quickly as possible. So again, we won't be having some perfect records. With crop rotation in for Burgi, I guess the 2 Menso wouldn't be too far incoming. You can see currently getting banking. Whereas for example, the Janissaries for the Turk, we were getting second arch armor. Horses, everything. Thinking fairly freshly because the blast one is a bit earlier. Now in the Armenian, tons of upgrades onto the monks. That was of course his main focus earlier. And for the economy, no, missing of course at least something on the farms. Something that we have seen on the last game as well from one of the players. And then hand card, sure, but nonetheless overall not horrible. And on the composite bowman, by the way, just the attack. Yeah, he was just kind of thinking about how to make them as most effective as possible as soon as possible. You can see ballistics only now, chemistry, arch armor. Things only come in. And conscription as well. So let us have a look into the statistics, where we are going to be having Ganji himself with the highest military score. I guess he's probably going to be playing a role conversions. 23, not bad. But 125, these are some hefty kills. Spaden and Acro, kind of same-ish. Nice army for Acro, but well, even that couldn't really save him. No, but it had to be pretty scary for Swedes. That attack was nicely thought through. They were playing nicely tactically, blocking Frost so that he couldn't help, blocking Ganji so that he couldn't help. Really, they had a good plan, but they just kind of weren't able to put on the finishing touches there. Alright then, so for the resources and everything, so Spaden versus Acro, of course, in the pocket, that will be what, 1300? So for 600 bottom, 13, yeah, 600 bottom, 16 and 12, so 2800 resources more for Spaden than Acro. Irrelevant at this kind of time and type of game. For the flanks, practically similar game style, therefore Frost versus Wean Dinchester. So you can also compare those, I guess. It's gonna be influenced by the destruction near the end, but 3, 4 and 11, so it's gonna be 4.5. 4.5, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, and 11, 3, 1, 2, 1. 2100 resources more for Frost than Wean Dinchester. Also not entirely too much, frankly, but for them maybe it's a bit more relevant because they have a lower amount of wills there. but because Frost was in the end having better echo, then I guess makes sense. But Dinchester was following more upon the Factory. So while he had maybe like 40 villages, no, 40 villages, he was actually having like 80 pop limit because of the Factory. So it's not entirely true that there was more focus economically for Frost. And top side, Ganji versus Mr.Dobbsn. That should be a lot more for Dobbsn because he was, of course, a lot more onto echo. Then that's gonna be a big difference. 6-1, 6-1 and 9-6. 6-1, 6-7, 15-7. Okay, 15-7, 15-1. 15-1 and 3. 12-1. 10-9, I guess. 10,900 resources more for Dobbsn than Ganji. That is an impressive difference, frankly. So therefore, even more of an impressive performance by Ganji. To be honest, those two battles didn't entirely look too super great for him, how he was caught in the open. But yeah, well, he did give enough time to Spaden to cooperate with him effectively. Nicely played, Ganji. 3 relics managed to collect, actually 2. One was for free. 2,000 as well, a bit of a good help, of course, on the non-existent economy. And GG. So they started somewhat unexpectedly quickly. It usually takes a long time, as the first game, for example, was also taking quite some moment to set up. But the last game is upon us. No, and we're gonna be there for having Nomad. So that could be quite a bit entertaining and interesting too here. So Vietnamese are already off, so you can be entirely telling where the opponents are. Gonna be having to scout it all appropriately and properly. So where are we setting up the TCs here? So with Dinchester, Acro, and Mr.Dobbsn is gonna be quite a bit far away then. Okay, let's maybe therefore switch it off. It's gonna be somewhat locked off in here at least a bit. That's an interesting position right now for Dobbsn. Might not be entirely too unhappy about it. Playing with the Wu, therefore. So we don't have the Mapuche, right? Yes, the Mapuche were left out. I was kind of hoping to see them in the team game, but I guess the opportunity therefore will be required for that. So Wu, as the dogs getting some extra food, it's gonna be pretty nice bonus for the Nomad here. It's really good. Really good. Then the potential Jian Swordsman, Heiguangs. Interesting again. So that's gonna be another combination. Whereas it looks like the Swedish team, they are apparently a bit more focused and concentrated. As it's gonna be also another player, Dave O2. He's gonna be playing with the Malians. You can see excellently next to the stone. Maybe therefore fast castle into Gebetos. Could be a thing. Maybe some partially shared gold. But there are plenty of resources around here. As therefore Spaden will be Dravidian. That's also something that we somewhat expected. That it might be the civilization of choice. Can see good berries next to him and also a piggy. And the last one is gonna be Red Ganji, who is gonna be continuing playing, and he's gonna be the Lithuanian. So I'm thinking that the civilizations we have pretty much guessed correctly what's going to be here. It's just having the piggy right next to him. I wonder if maybe when he's gonna be finishing Ganji with the fish in here, he's gonna be wanting to take the boar and get it home possibly. Okay, so Dobbsn versus Ganji. Who's gonna be there for fighting water? I guess it probably should be there for Ganji as the Lithuanian. Mr.Dobbsn as the Wu. Well, they don't have anything for the... No, I mean, like, they have the Karin and Dry Dog free. Maybe... Oh, maybe because of the dogs providing some extra food, he's gonna be wanting to invest into it. Hard to say if he's gonna be there for the water civilization in here. Could be. Green nearby to be also protected. Orange day from the other side, sure. Then we do have right now Spaden all the way top, somewhat alone. And can see Acro is gonna be here through right wing. So practically all three Germans are gonna be kind of southwards on the mainland, as far as the dogs. And yeah, Spaden is gonna be playing his own game to the top side. As a Dravidian though, he might be actually wanting to play the water, so it's a bit unlucky. If he really will be the one committed to the water from the team, it will be pretty stupid that he's gonna be the furthest away from the actual fights. I mean, like Ganji, I'm expecting probably will be forced into it. And then, well, the Malian, I guess it would be kind of a nice idea for the castle. Lately, or the past few years, we definitely see a bit more of a prevalence of Gbetos as the choice for the Malians, because Malians used to be like a common water civilization as far as nomads. They would be playing the water at basically at all costs, always. But now it definitely isn't entirely as much definitive as it used to be. Yeah, the water distribution is a bit unfortunate for the Swedish. Let's see if it's gonna be though having as much of a negative effect or something. Because for Ganji, I mean, like, if he maybe didn't want to be fighting it, still gonna be of course delaying his possible castle age. Theoretically, Green might be having a bit easier time getting into his castle as the Berber. Didn't mention even the civilization in there for him. He's gonna be there for here. Southwards, and he certainly wants to be going for the fast castle into some Camel Archeros. Acro is there for the Hun. And he's gonna be probably wanting to get... Interesting, he's also having the stone next to him, but is he having even gold? Kind of a bit further away. So there's gonna be some maybe opportunity to raid him on that, possibly. You can see here on the left side some situation kind of. Curious maybe, but well, whatever the case, it's going to be thinking up to him to be providing some cavalry archers into the mix. I'll be expecting. Well, maybe it's gonna be him therefore with the water. Usually Huns are kind of nice for that, so that's also something that's gonna be an opportunity. Really, just like an impossible guessing. Just never know what the teams have prepared, what kind of players they have committed to what role. If it's maybe fluent based on where they are positioned and when they're gonna be discovering where the opponents possibly are, then they react. Could be as well. But this position on the left side is gonna be really excellent here for Dobbsn. It's gonna be having even super easy gold mine in here. Which obviously kind of slightly begs the question if maybe it wouldn't be a bit more worthwhile to go elsewhere. If he knows about that gold. Yes, he does. But it's also kind of far away, so yeah, I don't think he's having too much of a choice. It'll be kind of slowing him down maybe a bit too much. So it's gonna be probably better to rely on this gold. It's gonna be still lasting him a long time. And then, well, hope he's gonna be able to drop a TC in here once he gets castle. Yeah, probably. Pretty hefty differences in there. You can see Spaden 24, we have 23 for Dobbsn. Then we do have another tier, it's gonna be 28 for Acro and Dave at 29. And then we do have a third tier, 33 for Ganji and Wean Dinchester at 35, so kind of all over the place. Looks like slightly better for Nocturna eSports, but not by much. You can say now it's gonna be because of the advances as well. That is advancing later. Green is not advancing yet at all. That's gonna be a straight fast castle there, clearly. And apparently Spaden, therefore, with Dravidian, really, he is gonna be committed through water. So it really sucks real hard that he is so far away, cut off from everybody. Hulks, therefore, for Dobbsn. That's gonna be, therefore, goodbye all the fishing here. Nobody taking the boar. I mean, like, well, didn't take Ganji, but, which is important, it also hasn't been taken by the others. And at this point, probably not entirely that super likely. And at this stage of the game, it's going to be picked up by anybody anyway. There is a lot of flaring currently by blue. I mean, like, he's having the horsey, so he's just basically letting the players and teammates know where exactly everything is distributed. As it looks like Ganji is already preparing with some barracks, Avaria steel, or purple rather. So he's trying to right now drop a bit of wall in. Stable ready for the Lithuanian. And that's gonna be there for Castle Age, yes. Okay, so it's already preparation for the Castle Age. He's gonna be there for Marketless advancing. Resources after the next two villages are gonna be in place. Seems solid. Could be probably advancing already now, if he really wanted to. Some kind of small force drop. But seems like he's gonna be content with what he currently has, getting some extra economy. And fishing boats running away from Ganji. So he can be, of course, since he's next to the water in here, dropping a very easy dock there. And he can continue with the economy. So he played it well that he didn't lose anything. And look at that. He already is gonna be in a completely different place where his fishing is gonna be continuing still. However, interesting Mr.Dobbsn currently positioning of the dock. Maybe having some good opportunity to attack upon Dave. Nothing here. Spaden discovering what is the reality. It's gonna be there for really the wolf fighting against him. But the Castle Ages, Dave is gonna be through with the Malian. Next one is gonna be Acro with the Hun. And then we are having somewhat of a similar advance between Ganji, the Lithuanian, and also Wean, Dinchester, the Berber. And so far Spaden getting fishing lines. Castle is definitely nowhere on his mind. And for Teal, Mr.Dobbsn, it's gonna be no. I was going to say the same idea, evidently not. You can see it's a lot closer to an actual castle advance. Spaden, 34 villages, Mr.Dobbsn is gonna be the same. So far looks like well done by Mr.Dobbsn. All the way top side, nothing much. Spaden will be able to handle this, it looks like. So it should be easy right now for that. You can see he didn't even in the end go that far. He did build the next dock closer to his base. So I'm happy for that. And are you having some kind of preparation in here? So far nothing, just some kind of wall in. And awaiting the potential storm. Actually, maybe with this wall in. He was kind of expecting some kind of different kind of cartography in here maybe, but evidently could be useful even down the line, so who knows, it's gonna be coming in handy, such a piece of wall in. In Age of Mythology you're building them that way, not like regularly, but they are visible. Like walls like these, because of course there, if you're gonna be building a gate, then it's blocking the enemy from passing, as opposed to Age of Empires 2, so they just really do serve quite an interesting tactical purpose. To be able to immediately disengage from the opponent, that is of course super useful and helpful. However, second dock for Dave, looks like he's gonna be wanting to take a fight here, even though he's already getting some battles. Wait a second, where is oh, there's the castle. Okay, I was just kinda thinking that he's gonna be maybe wanting to drop the castle against the enemy to the south, but evidently he's gonna be a bit more concerned about the enemy to the west. Mr.Dobbsn, it's apparently his prime target, at least now and for the moment. Transport. Transport for Dave. Like for real. That has to be a misclick, right? No, nonetheless, it's evidently coming. I think it has to be a misclick though. So all the way right wing. Looks like Spaden is gonna be doing a decent job against Wean Dinchester, forcing him away with the hulks. But this is really something I'm still curious about, if it's a mistake or not. Just gonna wants to be sending potentially therefore the fisherman home or fisherwoman. Not sure. There's even some further dogs then. You're just gonna get cancelled at the last moment, or are you just gonna... No, there it is. There it is actually going southwards already, so yeah, I have no idea what's going on here. But whatever the case, let's maybe right about now focus slightly here on the top water. So it looks like with a bit of a help right now, Dinchester is gonna be able to scare the purple army off, at least for a moment, but as you can see, they're gonna be almost immediately in the castles themselves, and very soon we are going to be having therefore the second level here. Botkino immediately, second boat, sure, and looks like it's gonna be some boat upgrade also going for Mr.Dobbsn. Yep, 5 ships right now already in place. However, looks like the battles are already right now done. One of the like stronger forces in the game. But looks like it with at least some of the camel archers from Wean Dinchester. By the way, castle heavily defensive as well. Playing it carefully. Each team, of course, wanted to be the one that's gonna be crowned the winner after all. Now, and on the villages, we're having somewhat of a similar amount. Besides Ganji and Dave, so they are the team Sverige a bit above. You can see 54 for Dave. Ganji is gonna be playing currently with 48. These are some significant differences, especially for the Malian. That is quite something. No, it just kind of looks like at this point Mr.Dobbsn is having as much of a numerical advantage as is going to be apparently necessary here in controlling Dave. He's still apparently continuing with hulks. Doesn't seem like some kind of demo ships will be too much of a thing. And on top of it, he's going to be having at least a few fishing boats available. So that's going to be helping with the shooting against the boats. That's really something that I'm not entirely certain how many actually Age of Empires 2 players have accommodated to yet. That's obviously quite a significant novelty on the water, which you can hide those. I'm not really all that certain if they are all properly accounting for the fights next to the dogs, that they are a bit more dangerous than they used to be. Okay, so TC Extra unfortunately not coming here for Spaden. So Acro is gonna be already well in place with the cavalry archers. Doesn't really having too much of a super like defense against that. Unfortunately just moved at the last second, so couldn't be getting some proper shoot through like the whole line, because I mean like the hit points, as you can see, not entirely the most ideal that they can possibly be. Oh, that was pretty close right there, but excellently done. And you can see how much is actually paying off, and how he's absolutely destroying the cavalry archers from the Huns. So well done. But well, it's not gonna be only them. You're gonna be apparently joining also with camel archers into the whole mix and into the group here. Another transport. This time it's gonna be going for Ganji. So I'm just like still kind of confused by those, but I guess they have some plans and ideas. I wonder if he's maybe like making it as a bit of a houseboat, because he's right now moving villages into a potentially a bit unsafe situation upwards, upon gold, if you look at the minimap. Does have at least a TC nearby, so hopefully it should be enough. Therefore doesn't need to be and doesn't need any kind of further protection. But villages are coming forward from Acro. Okay, so you're gonna be attempting the castle drops somewhere nearby. I'm thinking maybe even straight here, because that's an interesting hill. It's gonna be probably far away enough for the villages to be able to build it from the left side. Yep, there we go. For sure. And now the real question is, do we have enough scorpions right now to block both the camel archers, cavalry archers, and also right now the villages on top of it? We cannot best if he of course sent one of the scorpions basically like really on the line. And how it's supposed to be done. Okay, this is gonna be quite a bit close, and evidently, well, it's gonna be there for a victory for Spaden with Dave. I'm thinking also not to use how to say it actually right about now, due to not a small part of it, now the fact that there was quite a lot of hill advantage for the scorpions. Look at the army currently that we have. Ganji 11, or basically like 10 plus for all three suites. Whereas for the Germans we are gonna be having only Dobbsn at 15, and he is right now the water fighter, isn't he? Yeah, he is. So he's having a decent amount of things there, like literally, maybe even all of it. And well, it's gonna be actually right now attempt at another castle, as it looks like Mr.Dobbsn is gonna be there for leaving his base. As he mentioned, TC here on the gold and the wood line making excellent sense. And he's gonna be having quite an interesting castle encroaching upon right now the orange. And this one is probably gonna be getting finished, it looks like. 55%, one scorpion, the other's taking quite a bit of a long trip in here. So no chance they're gonna be arriving there in time. So looking pretty good here. So what to the right side didn't entirely work out all that well for Acro. He's gonna be, by the way, at 60 villages, which is not terrible, because 60 is also the number for Spaden. And Dave is at 70, then you have 90 for Ganji, 90 also for Dobbsn plus. And Winchester is gonna be, or Winchester is gonna be at 80. So we have about maybe 10 plus villages more for Nocturna eSports. They're quite a bit better off, but they could keep to be throwing away all kinds of units in here, unfortunately. And as you can see, Castle in the end didn't even get finished, 76%. Disaster number 2 here for Acro, and he's gonna be down to only 56 villages, dropping even further. But still, not a game over yet. Huh. Interesting stonewalling in here. Even more interesting is of course going to be at this point the destruction of the dock by Dobbsn. I guess right now the armada for Spaden is gonna be explaining things to him now. But we're still going to be having some further fights, I'm expecting. Probably not gonna be entirely all that finished just yet. But nonetheless, the castle here is, again, 75%. So if you delete it, you're gonna be getting only quarter of the resources back. Which, at this point, might be even something a bit interesting, I guess. Will be allowing him to be getting a castle just now as well. No, that's a very good trading right about now that actually Dinchester has managed to find for himself in Spaden's base. We have double hundreds between Dobbsn and Ganji, so they are doing well enough in there. Then 80-90 practically between Dave and Wean, and Acro at about 70 and 74 Spaden. So we have practically gotten into a very similar position here between the players. Double Imperial Ages, but they're gonna be both for the Germans. You can say it now as battles are coming in, and therefore Mr.Dobbsn is gonna be having problem holding the middle. He is gonna be though advancing into Imp very soon. Getting some step lances, it looks like. Oh, that's actually the Heiguang, sorry. Not the step lances, the Heiguang in here. And we're also gonna be getting Imperial Age for green, for Wean, Dinchester, the Berber. So therefore the camel archers are gonna be also very quickly a bit more powerful. Chemistry and Bracer just now immediately coming through. And apparently even next one, it's gonna be time for Spaden, Dravidian. It's gonna be the first one for Team Sverige. He's gonna be getting himself the Imperial Age. No. I have to be a bit more careful about the camel archers in here, being Dinchester, to be honest. Nonetheless, at this point seems to be still having enough, and it's still archers, so he's gonna be able to have some very nice hits against the battles. So looks like this attack for Dave is gonna be, unfortunately for him, failing. Again, on the amount of units, we are actually kind of same. A minuscule difference between them. Very minuscule indeed. And we are going to maybe having some further moments. So castle kinda locked off, but seems like it right now, Ganji. Maybe he's not gonna be able to hold it forever. We'll see about that. There's gonna be some kind of nicely coordinated siege here between Acro and Wean going on. It's really kind of like hard to say who is ahead here. Feels like it maybe the Germans are having kind of like a bit more of a sturdy position, but it's really impossible, I think, to say. It kind of like depends on some small movements and what exactly is gonna be decided next. But they do rely quite a bit heavily on the Scorpions to actually carry them so far. They don't really have any kind of huge kind of game-winning contingents, especially not like aggressively game-winning contingents. It could be, I don't know, some huge cavalry numbers. But maybe Ganji is gonna be getting there with the latest. Currently he's having 1 and 2, but not even Bloodlines, for example. That is still at only 16 units, so yeah. Not sure though how many bows he has. Looks like it maybe not at all. Maybe not even any at all, as it looks like it all the way southwards you do have Spaden with quite a sweet and healthy army. Apparently cleaning up the water economy here for Dinchester on this right now, till it's gonna be right in tow and right behind him. You know, the castle for green. Yeah, actually, you know, the castle is having right now still wood, stone plenty. So it's gonna be really annoying here as the Berber. Can say it now the last Imperial Ages are gonna be therefore coming here for Acro, the Hun, and also for Orange, Dave, right now the Malian. So these are gonna be the last ones, otherwise we are in the last ages already for all of them. Wean Dinchester is having a scary army, some 40 camel archers plus some associated siege weapons. Whereas for the opposing side it's gonna be Spaden at about 35, but again has to be said maybe like 10 of those are gonna be boats, and then evidently it's gonna be some combination of mostly halberdiers and a few scorpions if they don't manage to run away. Just exactly at that moment, but nonetheless they did some kind of damage anyway, and they were important earlier. So it seems like right now it's gonna be a bit more of a consolidation of armies. As the castle has been fully therefore destroyed, looks like it's gonna be not only consolidation of the armies, but Ganji is on his own. He's gonna be trying to have a bit of a small detachment here through the side, cutting into the blue economy therefore, and blue base. Yes, it seems like it right now. Guang's from Dobson and Dinchester's Berber Camel Archers are gonna be a bit more interested here in Dave. A bit more directly, but he's so far holding fairly decently, delaying the enemy as much as he can. Whereas Spaden, by the way, he's gonna be there for full halberdier, yeah, as a Dravidian. It seems like it's gonna be the idea. Let's see if it's gonna be a good idea after all or not. And it's gonna be needing some kind of further developing. But Guangs are gonna be already champions, right? No heavy. So you do have currently what, 2 and 2 on them, and what are we getting? Bracer. Bracer for blue, of course makes sense with chemistry and farming. That's for the Hun. Into the archers. And what is the green here to do? Aha. Okay, seems to be right about now having 2 armies already practically split between each of the sides. No, he does have really the numbers for it. You can see 60. He can certainly right now manage both of them. Acro about 40 cavalry archers. And that's something that the opponent's going to be entirely matching too well. They have like 20 here for Dave. And that's not going to be entirely counter army, if it's going to be battles of course. And Spaden 47, sure, but Ganji is at only 11. So what is his army like? Plenty castles, protecting some resources, and frankly the resources are gonna be also running out now. We are at 43 minutes, so we are gonna be looking into a situation where NOCs are actually holding a lot more extra res because of the map control they have. No, and as you can see, all the way top some Mr.Dobbsn is playing this fairly smartly, blocking the resources, blocking the TC here from Ganji. And therefore it looks like it maybe they're just gonna be destroyed resource-wise, because they're not gonna be having enough ground where to even get the further S, because you can see there's absolutely nothing. And excellent raiding currently going on here by Mr.Dobbsn, who is gonna be getting kills from absolutely everybody. Acro, though, economically at only 90. It's not doing too well. 100 for Spaden. And then we do have some 120 30s for both of the teams, so economically still very limited difference in favor of, at this point, the Swedish. But again, they're just gonna be importantly missing the resources, so the question is how long they are gonna be able to last. They can theoretically maybe actually land some villages somewhere, just basically go in somewhere, I don't know where, because here you don't have any kind of further resources anymore. And going all the way into this position, I don't know, they will be able to manage something along those lines. But all the way here from the left wing, you know, the cast attempted by Mr.Dobbsn so that he can be getting a bit more of a hold upon the territory. And they're not entirely doing too badly at all. Armies currently, we are having what, about 120, 150 maybe? 150 for Nocturna eSports B, whereas Team Sverige, we are gonna be barely at about some 80, not even. Some 65, basically like half the army, even less than that currently for them, and it really is showing how they are at about now significantly struggling. You can see they are getting broken into from each of the sides, and that's where the GGs are therefore coming. No, and well, game number 3 will be therefore going for the Germans, Nocturna eSports B, and they are gonna be winning the full match after 3. Pretty nice and excellent games, so congratulations and good job. So let's give them therefore 2-1 victory in here. No, well, and in an hour, Nocturna eSports B are gonna be playing another match. Who are they actually playing against? They're gonna be playing against Venon. against the Venon. Not sure if it's like Venon eSports or Team Venon at this point. It's like I think in the Mexicans, or what is it? Thinking something along those lines that they are. Now, nonetheless, let us therefore have a look at some statistics in here to properly appreciate what happened and how. As we are going to be having therefore... No, the villages, you can see Spaden already dropped to 80. Now he has been raided by the Heiguangs and everything. Then we mentioned the 120s, 40s almost between Dobbsn and Dave. 120 Ganji and Dinchester. Oh, and Acro at 103 now, so that was already the tables turning in there. And of course the armies were a lot more important as far as the difference. Was therefore some 105, 162 for Nocturna eSports after all, and in the end. And as for the opposition for Team Sverige, we are having some 59 only. So they really weren't able to manage, and again, as you mentioned, they really didn't have the resources, they didn't have gold anymore. So they just ran out of territory they could somehow use. So for some further upgrades and everything else, in right now you can see the tech tree, for example, the Berber having full gold and wood. Handcard of course missing, but nonetheless for the cavalry archers or camel archers, we have all the upgrades that we could get. That's the important part. For the Hun, getting wheelbarrow and goldshaft mining. So you can see economically he definitely was on the lower side here at 45.54. Already off the game and in the game. Can say the bad now for the cavalry archers missing Parthian tactics. Otherwise everything in. And for the last player on the team, that's gonna be there for Mr.Dobbsn. Economically superb, just 2 men, so right now the last one for him to get. Doesn't seem to be upgrading anything now. And for the Heiguangs, stable upgrades, yes. Missing blast furnace only. Otherwise it seems like it all good. No, and for the opposition. For Spaden, for example, here, as the first one, he's gonna be missing possibly the second. No, I guess. No. Yeah. The second farm, I guess. He was having, of course, gill nets because he was a lot more up on the water economy. Look at the amount of fishing spots. And he was right now trying to work. Maybe he could have been already having at least a few traps, not sure. But trying to be living off the nature for as long as possible. And something else in here. For the units, you can see right now he was having forging. He wasn't having that many hulks, or was he? He actually was. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain if actually people are still realizing if they are kind of like properly having that. I don't know how to say that. Like, is there inner and subconscious thought, as it is with galleys, to be getting fletching, to be getting forging? That's obviously something that people have to be getting used to on the new water balance. But bracer is in. Can say now infantry armor as well already in place. But we really didn't get into anything too serious. You can see he was trying to trash units first halberdiers. Then also add in some skirmishes finally against the camel archers. Maybe could have been of course the first unit in there. But they wanted to be countering a bit more the Heiguangs. They were considered to be a bigger problem for them. But in the end, not only that. So for the orange, for the Malian, he is economically missing the gold. Even through the empowerment on the gold. Still a bit of a shame not to be having the upgrades, to be having even better economy, of course. Fishing lines, interesting. Milak in the corner, he was having some fishing economy in here. And evidently not only there. They were trading already. No, well, that's of course the reaction to, as I mentioned, the missing gold. Yep. If this would have been in the original game, it wouldn't work too well. In the original game, before even like user patch and stuff, because, well, water trade was usually quite a disaster in there as far as pathfinding. Something that at least decently works here on the definitive edition. Otherwise, for the battles, we're having just the speed, not entirely the attack against buildings here. And you can say now, even just like first defense only for the battles, didn't entirely get to be having as many ups as you'll be liking. I guess the last is Ganji, right? With the Lithuanians, economically also quite a bit insufficient. Not having the hand card, not having right about now the second famine. Even, however, he was also a bit more upon the fishing, but not entirely any kind of super high amount. So sure, having gill nets and fishing lines making sense, but still the farming was important. No one for the cavalry, he was having bloodlines, no speed, no attack whatsoever. So therefore that means he was having some relics. There's the latest too, so he was having 2 relics. Kind of like the basis, basic amount, but not entirely certain if they would be having some access to anything else. Probably most of the others were, it would have been locked in different positions, probably. Now, well, at any rate, let's therefore have a look into the statistics. As you can tell right about now, Dinchester is gonna be... Again, he was quite a bit of an outstanding player today. Like, seriously, he was. Nonetheless, yeah, gonna be there for at this point having him as 184. This is right now what makes more sense than the first game, for example. But in the first game, most skills were for the cavalry civilization. Here it's going to be, of course, the one with the archers. And it's a lot more common and normal, but you can see right now simply the military performance wasn't entirely there on the other side. But also kind of nice civilization choice, of course. The Berbers are gonna be blocking plenty of civilizations in general, which obviously wasn't like too much of a concern because they didn't have the civilizations to be blocked, but still. It is a useful unit to be having the camel archers, and overall it's a great save. You can even go for the horses if you want to with the discount. Nice one for Nomad. And, well, Huns. It's an inherent nomad civilization, obviously. No conversions this time around. And something curious here, not too much, I guess. So for the economy, slinging very small here and there. We were getting some resources upon a few of the people here around the match and around the games. No, and we do have therefore what exactly? No, what do we compare? That's a question at this point a bit. Who was fighting the water? Spaden and Dobbsn, right? I think in pretty much Spaden and Dobbsn were fighting water. So let's maybe compare those. So that's gonna be some 4, 2, 3, 4, exactly 17,000. 4, 2, and 3, 4, so it's gonna be 800. 2, 6, 3, 4. 3, 4, 8, 4, and 7, 9, 1. 9,100 resources more for Mr.Dobbsn and Spaden. Nomad, 46 minutes, yeah. That is 10k resources almost. That is a bit too much. For the others, probably Wean, Dinchester versus Dave. Kinda seems to be making a bit of a sense to me, considering the early activities. So that's gonna be what's on 3, 6, 3, 6, and 13. 3, 9, 4, 9. 4, 9, and 4, 9, 3, 2, 4, 9, 4, 7, 1700. 1700, and this is gonna be there for some 8, 8, 5, 9, 2, 9, 2. It's gonna be there for 9, 2, some 7, 9, 7, 9. 7,900 resources more for Wean, Dinchester, and Dave. Again, getting into the higher amounts of there and there of difference. You can definitely kind of see in those differences where the victory was born, right? And the pressure overall. And then for the last combination, that's going to be there for Acro and Ganji, fighting a bit on the right. You'll be there for having Ganji this time, it seems like. Oh, yeah, by a bit. So we do have what? 5,019, so it's going to be 8 now. 3, 1. 3, 1, 4.5. 4.5 and 17. So 6, 2. 6,200 resources more for Ganji this time around than Acro. So you can say now, even though Acro was having quite an important role there as well with his cavalry archers, obviously the discount helps with the Han, Then Ganji, well, he managed right now kind of like outboom him. That he was also in kind of like the most secure position in that, like beyond his teammates, kind of, you could be saying, from the Dinchesters and Dobbsn's kind of like perspective where they were attacking from. Trade profit small, but yeah, well, it was a kind of like attempted solution, but unfortunately they didn't have enough time to make it somehow work or have it work reliably for them to improve their chances and situation. As you can see, research is, yes, sure, be Dinchester, making sense. Spaden, though, you can see not entirely too far away. 28, also because of, for him, because of the boats. Dinchester at 30, that's gonna be because he simply had excellent game. Even though he was only one type of unit. But also at the same time, cavalry archers or camel archers, they require quite some attention from multiple kind of pieces of equipment, let's say. No, and relics for Ganji for a bit, because he of course needed it for his Lithuanians for the latest. And didn't entirely see as much action as they needed to. 500 at least for some minutes. So congratulations therefore to Nocturna eSports B, as we have seen therefore their success today in the third week of Group A of the World Team League 2026 Invitational season. So therefore the first one. And there is a tournament hosted by Loris, VonDutch, Serenata and Acro that we have seen in these games today. And also tournament admins are Elomis and Rbase. Then they have spreadsheet manager Zaffo and map scripter is Tiniae. And we also can be thanking all the web scripters, because this is one of the kind of like handbooks that is actually involving the names. Let me right now find that and show that. So there we go. If you're interested, maybe then you can also have this. And you're gonna be seeing that Arabia, well, there's a script from Rising Teams and Krasin in there. That's of course gonna be even going all the way to the original Ensemble Studios and also then user patch and everything else. Then we have Arena, script from Nations Cup 23. Was handled by T-West back then, so also going all the way, because these are kind of like the latest names and the tournaments where it's taken from. Unfortunately, do not have necessarily like the correct path from the original creators, and whoever edits something into it, that is something that we don't have, so we can't properly thank. But we're gonna be thinking at least in spirit, I guess, to all the people involved. Then Chaos Pit is scripted by RT and the Mad Gather. So I guess that's gonna be somewhat of an original one that we have seen in, I don't know, even plenty other tournaments. I think it was in Nations Cup, it was also in A Olympics, definitely. Frontline, I'm really curious about this one. I'm looking forward to have that. Scripted by TCT2, that will be some kind of, it's some tournament. RT, I'm thinking might be a scripter. I'm not thinking that's gonna be a tournament short, but maybe it's going to be Rising Teams again. Yeah, that actually makes sense. It's gonna be also Rising Teams. TCT2. Okay. That's a short, I remember that I didn't know a few months ago, and then I looked for it. That's a tournament, but I don't know which one at this point. There is some tournament, and Jumpy apparently also being scripted involved in that. 45 clearing apparently unknown. So whoever is beyond that, let right now the tournament admins know, or so that he can be properly credited. But thank you. Golden Lakes is also by Rising Teams and Samedo, Maghreb, same Rising Teams, then Krazini and Rorarimbo. All kinds of course, no names here from all the tournaments that we streamed on this channel with different maps and settings. Migration is from Battle of Africa 3. That's an old one, or older one, therefore. Maybe a bit. Or when was Battle of Africa? Last year there wasn't a team tournament, was there? I want to say there wasn't it. Maybe it's gonna be like 2 years ago. And by T-West, Nomad is SNC. Okay, and Krazine. SNC. There's some kind of Nomad tournament, right? It's gonna be some Nomad tournament, probably. Not sure if won by Paradox. Maybe. Team Islands Nations Cup and T-West, and Two Rivers is by Rising Teams. You can see an AJ, that is a tournament, that is a map scripter, and Zetnus. So all kinds of no names here, so thank you very much for all the maps that you're gonna be, and we are getting to enjoy in this tournament, because obviously we are already in like a week 3, just today got into some first games to have a look at, so happy for that, and as I mentioned, of course, the admins earlier, then yes, Loris, VonDutch, Serenata, Acro, Elomis, Rbase, Zaffo, and Tiniae, and you can see right now all the links in here, so I've mentioned the link is in the chat if you're interested. Or you can at this point quite a bit easily Google it as well. For the prize pool, if somebody would be maybe liking to add to something for the players, and of course there is a kind of like starting basis with about $400, which is already quite nice for a community tournament. It's nothing like properly, like it's not like sponsored by VonDutch, which is a shame. They're just gonna go, of course, only after reviews, and therefore team tournaments are not entirely something that they want to promote too much. So all the money unfortunately goes only into only ones, and select ones at that. But yeah, well, if somebody would be liking to add, then of course feel free to contact the admins or go into the Discord, and you can certainly get the information how to do that kind of thing, possibly. Otherwise, well, you can also find the standings, and we are right now doing here something for the tournament, because I'm probably not even planning to be doing anything more today. So I just maybe do the introduction. There is an excellent spreadsheet that is having all the information. You can go to the homepage. You have all the teams in here that are involved. You can see all kinds of names. I'm especially looking forward to maybe streaming Black Sails somewhere. Ilios, that's a Polish team, old school, Nocturnas. I was kind of looking forward if maybe we're gonna be seeing today El Matador, because he's in Nocturna B, the Age of Mythology player. So looking forward if he's gonna be playing in some of those matches. It would be kind of fun to see him again. The Rulers of Rome again, of course. Let's leave them out. Sverige is Fun Pop, that's the English players. So names that you have streamed so many times, so pretty cool. Also some new teams, it seems like Anchor, Doof, and Talis R1. R1, that is a bit older one. It's actually surprisingly old one, if I'm remembering it correctly. We have recently streamed a player from them, and I was a bit surprised there is a team that is around for like 5 years, maybe even longer. But I guess not entirely super active or whatnot. Venom, of course, that's the recent Mexican team. As you can see, quite a bit Italian, the Aztec calendar, right? I think it's an Aztec calendar, isn't it? Thinking it's an Aztec one. If it's not a Mayan one. No, I think it's Aztec. Thinking with kind of like the pointy stuff in there, that is the Aztec. No, nonetheless, Virtus, bit of a new team as well. So all kinds of fun stuff and fun games you should be hopefully having. Otherwise, well, the settings are fairly simple. We are having groups, as you can see in here, per 8 teams. And they're going to be playing all against each other. So therefore, that means 7 rounds, 7 weeks. There's going to be like a week break for the Londinium, for the Red Bull tournament, but nonetheless you should be there for finishing somewhere with this week is starting week 3, and therefore that means you should be somewhere finishing with like April, like end of April or whatnot. You should be probably finishing there. No, okay, I didn't have to be even thinking of it. We do have all the information in here. Okay. Decent amount of matches, of course, already played in here. As you can see, Sverige. No, this wasn't, they weren't too far away from a potential success in here. But they're collecting some points. It's a play all 3. So getting even that 1 victory could be fairly important if they're going to be able to get some victories after. Against like Rulers of Rome, but it's going to be, of course, tough. Can be Gaba there and Vodka. It's going to be some hard teams. Ilios, the Polish, are going to be also, of course, not going to be expecting, of course, and can't be expecting any kind of easy games. None of them. Do you have actually right now rating for the players in here? I mean, like, of course, there's the group B in here. Really looking forward maybe to Black Sails. He's an interesting team because of Dragon Star. And seedings. I'm gonna be the seedings here. Yeah, okay, so right about now the ratings for overall, so who's the biggest favorite? Nocturna A. Venom are pretty high, interesting. The rest of Rome, as I mentioned, not gonna be too bad in there. And considering now Sverige, they're gonna be in the 4th spot, but nonetheless, they're having like excellent games today. And they can certainly make it hard for any of the opponents. You know, I can see the differences, they are certainly there. But in team games, it's quite a bit different. It's not only about the 1v1 performance. Yeah, Black says it's an interesting team. I think it's most Indians, and just Dr. Cosmonaut is a Turkish player. Thinking it otherwise they are all Indians, if I remember correctly. So if you're gonna be there for seeing our teams for today, so that you can be having some understanding of the ratings. So against right now Mate, that's El Matador. Can't say it now on the ratings. What is it? Sorted average value 1. Average team game. Okay. No, well, Matador is having a huge rating, of course. He is, I think he's still in the Age of Mythology tournament. I'm not entirely 100% certain. Let me quickly check if he survived this weekend. Not entirely certain. Because he played in the losers bracket round 2 or 3. Maybe 3 actually. Against the Rappel. That would have been a tough match. Entirely certain how it finished. And the recorded games are not posted, but I guess I can check. Not gonna be right now needing the draft anymore. So AM stats and no see Mate. So if you don't want to be getting spoiled, then don't watch. Yeah, looks like we actually got eliminated here. Oh, but it was a close match apparently. There happened to be some out of sync at the start. Yep, that's also something that we still do have in Age of Mythology, unfortunately. So 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. Oh, it was all 5 games actually, and half an hour last game. That is very long for Age of Mythology. Even the first one, that was a hard battle. It was a very hard battle, but apparently, well, he's gonna be there for out. So I guess more time to focus upon Age of Empires 2 for him again. It's an interesting player because, of course, the connection with Age of Empires 2 is always pretty interesting to see, especially when they have removed quite a few things from AoE 2 into Age of Mythology. Wrongly so, but they have done that anyway. So therefore, that experience comes handy. So you can see therefore some 2-2s, most of them. Mr.Dobbsn about some 2000 in here. But he does have a pretty high team rating, so that's gonna be definitely overcoming maybe the lack of 1v1 rating. So that is important. And then Sverige, that's gonna be here. Ganji, of course, huge rating himself. 2-2s as well. Bully the Day, Sleepy Sweet. Dave and Sleepy Sweet against the 1800s, but especially Sleepy Sweet, for example, in the first one. That was an excellent performance, and frankly, Dave here wasn't bad either. Yeah, and you might be kind of thinking they have low ratings, but in the team games, it really doesn't have to be mattering too much. It's just like a long-term experience, even from RTS League and other tournaments, that if you have decent kind of like plan within the team, then the execution of the plan is not entirely too hard. And if you are a solid player, which 1800 already definitely is, then it just like isn't 1v1. You are not gonna be punished for such small mistakes as there. You're having a lot more of a room to maneuver. If you coordinate properly with your teammate, it just like doesn't have to matter at all that you are having 400 rating less. And we have seen it definitely. I mentioned the games, I mean like 1 hour and 20, or how much was it? The first Arabia, Jesus Christ. And you were having pocket of Sleepy Sweet. You can see here 1800 therefore, even though team games, again, that's where you can see is the difference, 2000. So mustn't forget that rating in here. And in the pocket for the opponents, there was... Who was the pocket in the first game? Acro? Dinchester was... Yeah, Acro. Acro was the pocket. Madtomski was top, Wean was bottom. No, so he was playing against a player 400 1v1 rating above him. I can see team game same. It didn't matter. No, nonetheless. Important information in here overall. which you can potentially find as well. So yeah, so thank you therefore to all of them. Good luck to, of course, all the players in their further games and further rounds. There are gonna be still plenty, and I'm hoping to be streaming some more of them because I always enjoy team games a lot more. Frankly, because for the casting it's also a lot more interesting because there's barely any kind of empty space anywhere, right? So you're just gonna get more engrossed in it. Whereas in 1v1s you are having kind of like moments where maybe just kind of slightly waiting for something to happen. So team games are filled with action. Some casters don't like them because they are just like unable to follow it properly. And sometimes it is not entirely easy to properly like show what you want and to make some kind of story out of it, but hopefully it's somewhat fine what we are doing around here. So thank you therefore to, and congratulations again to Nocturna eSports B, Acro 17, Mr.Dobbsn, Wean Dinchester, and also Madtomski. So those 4 players will play in today. No, and also, of course, good luck. And also congrats on that win. Really might be fairly important for the Swedes. For Team Sverige, Ganji, Spaden, Dave O2, Sleepy Sweet, and Bullet, and Frost9. They were actually using all 6 players. All 6 players on their roster were used today. So good luck in further matches and further games too. GG. So that was an excellent match. Happy that I managed to finally find a time to have a look at it as well. So considering the other tournaments are kind of finishing that we are doing, Nomad League Relocated is done, even though that is still, I think, in the top division. I will be liking doing recorded games of the finals somewhere if I get to it. Then Dual Domination is kind of finished. The Chosen Ones, that is gonna be having still like a few weeks. There was like a match today, but it was unfortunately covered with this one. There was a semi-final of one of the divisions of the 4th division between Metalmania and Birdie, but it was starting hour and a half ago, so too late to be even jumping into the match for me. So we'll see how they performed somewhere. And further tournament, Six Nations Cup. That's still gonna be having some games. Or sorry, that wait a second, was it the Chosen Ones or the Six Nations Cup? Yeah, the Chosen Ones. The Chosen Ones was Metalmania Birdie. But the Six Nations Cup, I'm kinda looking forward to maybe streaming some games as well. Again, on the new Civilisations, so we'll see when they're gonna be getting some further matches in the next few weeks. There's also some variant that I will be doing maybe Otter today, that I wanted to stream last Thursday, but well, maintenance kinda crossed their plans. So they played on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. But yeah, man, we had such a nice live match in here. Why not? Okay, so as I mentioned, good chance you're gonna be having more of this. Because again, there are 4 rounds, so 8 matches every week. And frankly, people just kinda don't entirely pay too much of an attention to it, unfortunately, so yeah. But nonetheless, and this AoE is gonna be certainly a stream of your interest currently. He was casting this match as well in Spanish or English, not entirely at this point certain in which. Probably English, because I'm thinking he was posting on the Discord in English, wasn't he? Yeah. And he's gonna be doing also right now the other match that's happening in about half an hour between Nocturna eSports B and Venon. Should be also quite a bit fun. If this was any kind of advertisement for that, then Envis_AOE is certainly the one to watch for that. So for some further streams, what do we have here? Otter AoE, yeah, classic Monday. So of course he's gonna be having something. Classic free-for-alls. That's gonna be, by the way, Deathmatch Nations Cup coming up. I'm also kinda interested in that maybe. But I'm expecting the Deathmatch community is doing a good job covering their games. But maybe that's also something that could be appearing here. Some DM after a long time. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on that. So yes, and if you want to maybe participate in that, then head into Otter's channel. And you can get the information on his commands in there. And you can therefore potentially join as well, maybe. So what is else going on here? Thunderbolt X. Huh. Oh, that is a nickname. That is a Bulgarian player, if I'm not mistaken, that we have streamed quite a few times, but Don't think I've seen him too much actually stream live, so that's a recommendation right there. I guess from some older players at this point that you have streamed in some past, more distant past than cast-wise around. Cloud, of course, always. Fire, by the way. Fire seems to have been casting quite a few games of this tournament. Otherwise, of course, well-known coach in AoE community. But yes, as I've seen in the matches, then he has done plenty, evidently. It's gonna be right now, maybe showing the Discord. Yeah, as you can see right now, he was doing quite a few games, so you can potentially find it on his Twitch, maybe even YouTube, not sure. And these are right now the games coming up. You can see 21st, that is what? That's Saturday. Yeah, that is Saturday. We'll see what's gonna be there on Thursday, because it's of course our next classic session where we are streaming things. Wednesday is gonna be standard Age of Mythology. Gonna be choosing some, already have something pre-selected from the Pandora's Box 2 tournament. So you're gonna be having some high level games there again. No, and for some further streams that currently are on Lobo della Nieve, I think in isn't Lobo in Venon? No. But he's in Uxmal, in different team. Because I noticed that he was in some team doing some POV for the tournament too. Yeah, I know that nobody really cares too much about the links and the and about like the streams and whatnot, but I just kind of like to be putting it in case somebody is watching from Paras broadcast and will be therefore maybe somehow interested in checking it out. So mostly for the live stream, it's not interesting information or anything, and just kind of like taking away from the games and stuff, but I just kind of like to be supplying it in as well, just in case. Just to be doing some proper service to the tournament hosts. And otherwise, some other community initiatives potentially. And well, since of course we are not gonna be doing anything today anymore, then just gonna maybe spending some more time here. And getting some more time here into the session. I think it's gonna fit in since it's the first match that you're gonna be giving some further information, because again, unfortunately, the coverage of the tournament is not as large as it should be, considering the high and top level players practically that we have here. It's really a shame. So I'm hoping that people are gonna be picking it up, because it's really don't understand why that is the thing. But nonetheless, well, unless it's gonna be Viper and Liere, nobody's really interested in watching, even, as you can tell. So yeah, that's that. But nonetheless, Enemies was having some nice viewers in there from what I have noticed, so well, you can enjoy that for the next match in there. So not entirely too many recommendations today, which is a bit odd, but I guess it was because people were streaming T90's last rounds of the Titans League today, earlier. So maybe just kinda all went off after. No, well, kind of when you think about it, Otter kind of found me more than anything, because I was streaming, I think through like Blue Carbon Cup streams. He was also participating, maybe we streamed him and just kind of stopped by as well, and yeah. He has been stopping by here and there ever since then. He's also kind of like the community streamer. He does a lot for deathmatch and streams all kinds of tournaments that we also are interested in. So again, if somebody happens to be interested in the content that we do here, then Otter is quite often doing something similar. Same as Lucky Carms and some other smaller streamers that currently I can't tell you specifically recall the names of. I think Robotic Pro is one of them. And what is the other one? Dino, of course, is streaming his tournaments. This Dino. Benanji AoE is sometimes doing something. And that was like a different nickname. If I could only right about now remember. Probably not gonna be able to find him. But there is one more streamer who is quite often doing these kinds of like smaller tournaments. Yeah, probably no way. Maybe I'm gonna be able to right now figure him out somewhere after a stream. Maybe right now in the live videos. Okay, so that's gonna be there for it for tonight. So thank you very much, Kainer, for stopping by again. Hope you at least enjoyed some of the games. Again, thank you very much to all the players that we're having today's in the games from Nocturna eSports B and Team Sverige. Thank you very much. If you're gonna be going again by names, Acro 17, Mr.Dobbsn, Wean Dinchester, and also where is gonna be the other player? Madtomski. Yep, sorry for forgetting about you. Then Bullet, Ganji, Sleepy Sweet, and Frost09 with also Spaden. Thank you very much. And Dave02. Spaden I probably therefore said 2 times. Actually, I didn't. Thank you very much for all your games today. That was the Team Sverige. And thank you, of course, again to all the people involved in hosting the tournament. Therefore, especially the main admins. That means therefore Loris, VonDutch, Serenata, Acro 17, the one from the games today. Then tournament admins Elomis, Rbase, and then for the spreadsheet manager Zaffo, map scripter Tiniae, and also thank you to all the scripters that are involved in the games that are used in the tournament. So thank you for stopping by. Have a nice rest of the evening as well, Gainer, and whoever else maybe was lurking around or stopped by, or in the end then watched from the past broadcast. As I mentioned, next match in the tournament between Venom and Nocturna eSports B is gonna be in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes at Envis_AOE, who's gonna be streaming that one as well. Yep, Otter is online, also recommended for his Monday standard sessions with the free-for-alls. And I guess that's gonna be there for it for tonight. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Blackadder at Blackadder's Place. Hope you enjoyed, and see you later. And thank you for stopping by then.